Hey family, what's going on? What's going on? Let me get my lighting together. Sis thought I had it together. Let me move this water out of the way before I do something stupid and drop it all on my stuff. It'd be just my luck. Knowing good and well that I don't do shows with water unless it's closed. So family, what's going on? What's going on? All right, good people. Welcome. Y'all know I have to do my little, you know how they do them late night shows, and before you bring your guests on, they have to do like that little 2-minute, 5-minute segment. So that's gonna be my little thing. I'm gonna have to do a little segment and then bring my people on. I'm just joking. But y'all, I have had a restful weekend. The lizard died, y'all. The lizard is gone, saints. This weekend has been eventful. So Friday we go in my daughter's room, and he's just standing there looking. And my daughter's like, he gone. I said, no, he ain't. He always just stand there and just stare at people. So I'm knocking at the screen doing this. He ain't moved. I'm like, oh my goodness, no. So we found out what the issue was. My daughter got him some mealworms. She was trying to, do his whole protein. My daughter's an animal person. Let me let you know that. She loves animals, from dogs to lizards to all types of animals. It would be Animal House if I would let it be. But we got one dog and a lizard, but the lizard is gone. So found out mealworms are horrible for uromastics. That's what type of lizard she had. Because it, one way or another, they can't chew it. So when they ingest it, it's like they eat them from the inside out. And we didn't know it. So we had to get our buddy, take him to the vet, and they cremated them, saints. So Milo gone. Y'all gotta pray for my daughter. She is an animal person to her heart, y'all. Ooh, she is truly an animal person. So his name was Milo. So I thought I had a picture of him. I find a picture, but he was a cute little lizard. I couldn't pick him up. So it's been a long weekend. It's been kind of like just chilling and just, she said after that she ain't buying no more lizards. One of my lights went out. She ain't buying no more lizards, which I understand why. They're kind of hard to take care of. They're interesting, but they're hard to take care of. So, but yeah, my weekend has been long. So, what else? That's all been going on, saints. It's just been an amazing weekend. So let me bring my people in. What's going on, Aerospace?
Peace and blessings, family. How you doing, Sister E?
I'm good. Let me see. Mr. Curious, what's going on?
Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Israel.
All right. Tayu, what's up?
Salama family, greetings.
Blacktastic. What's the deal?
Shalom. Good to be with you all again. All right. Good to see everyone. Hope y'all had a great weekend.
Yes. And Mr. Yacoba himself. What's
Salama family. Salama, how y'all doing? Hey, panel. One for Milo, one for the homie.
Oh yeah, Milo was cute though. But I ain't much on lizards. She was sad, man. Like she was for real. Because I really believe that if she didn't go into music, she probably would have ended up being a veterinarian. Because she loves animals. Like she is truly an animal person. I'm good with just my dog. And she be on borrowed time sometimes. So, but all right, family, we finna have a good conversation. I wanted to kind of talk about where this trend that I'm noticing within Hollywood is now taking the trauma of the Black community and have put a spin on it and made it into a horror movie. Somebody said poor libations for Milo. Oh my goodness, this is funny. Why everybody Blacktastic?
What's up?
Why are you looking like Oscar the Grouch right now?
Oh. No, I didn't mean to be looking like that. I had another tab
like
up, and I was trying to close it down, and my computer was doing something funny.
You was like,
you know, I have to be more conscious of the faces that I make. Because when my daughter was little, I was watching TV, and so she started looking at me and started going like this. And then she sat next to me and kept doing the same thing. And I asked her, Mom, I said, why is she doing that? She said, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what you was doing a second ago. You was
I was like, oh, I didn't know she was imitating me.
I'm like, you all right? You look gas? I'm just joking. I'm trying to get everybody hyped. Everybody quiet. Saints is quiet. Is everybody got gas today or something? No, I'm just
Pass off some phase-arms.
But I mean, the whole spin with what's going on with Hollywood now, and some people don't like what's going on. Like, you know, you got the movie Them, you got Us. Next thing you're gonna have is They. It's a matter of time. You got Jordan Peele has made like a whole montage, and then you have Annabelle, and it's a couple of others out there. But the whole thing that I get from these movies, and I kind of wanted to talk about this a little deeper, that when you look at the trauma of slavery, it's not hard to make it into a horror movie. You get what I'm saying? Because it was horrific within itself. You know, you have situations where they would use babies as gator bait. That right there is horrific. You know, I said that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, but the thing is, it's just, and then while they're doing that spin, you see that the world is upside down right now.
It's called predictive programming.
I think it's called, reaping. No.
What they're doing is they're getting the world used to tormenting and persecuting Black folks. And when they see them in torment and chaos, they're gonna say, well, this is normal, right? Because we've seen this, and they're gonna say we brought it on ourselves.
Correct.
And so nobody's gonna want to stand up for us because they've seen this already. It's normal.
And you know, that what Nicole said makes a lot of sense. I mean, they've been doing it for quite some time anyway, but it's all you have to do is look at what's happening. As we shift, we were the number one, we're the largest minority. Now they elevated the Hispanics over us, who surpassed us by numbers. And then by 2025, the Asians are predicted to surpass us, and that will make us the third largest minority, which moves us down and makes us less of a priority. Even now, you see with the big push for the stop violence against Asians, but nobody is ever telling Asians to stop violence and racism against Black people. And so, you know, they're trying to minimize our voice and normalize our trauma.
Yep.
So that they make it look as if, almost the same way slave masters basically told the slaves that, see, you were cursed by God with your black skin, and you deserve this, what you're going through, to make it more acceptable, not only to the slave, but also to other people, other white people and those around the world whom they did business with. So they, you know, this is what the whole thing of manifest destiny was about, which from the time of the Crusaders, long before slavery, Europeans were going around using this doctrine saying God wills it, as if that made whatever atrocity or crime they committed against other people acceptable and okay, because they felt it was their divine right. Now, this is the same thing they're trying to push to, or the same mentality that you see coming about now.
And that's key. That's key. Anybody got anything else to add? You know, because the thing is, I see that being as predictive programming, but when you look at the history of it and the things they did, I was like, this is a horror movie. This is hell on earth for particular people during a time. You know, because what's interesting is history has made a point to to clean it up. They call it sanitized history, because they're going to give us a sanitized version of that part of history to kind of say, I tell anybody, I say Roots didn't play the true picture. Roots just made it seem like the worst we saw was Toby got his foot cut off, and which was bad. But we didn't see the stuff that we're seeing now, the stuff we're finding out about now. It took years for us to figure out. I give Tariq Nasheed props on that. Tariq Nasheed was one of the ones in mainstream. I will, with the videos that he did, where he talked about things like buck breaking and alligator bait and all that, and opened a whole new window or a whole new viewpoint when it came to slavery and how they treated us. Because when you look at history never showed us this. History never saw the pedophilia. The history never saw the the homosexuality, male rape. It
But
wasn't just women being raped.
look at what's happening to us today. I mean, we're being shot in the streets,
Yeah.
right? The children are being twisted where they don't know what pronoun to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are being assaulted on so many levels. And remember, the scripture says, if those days weren't shortened, those flesh would be saved. And so then, we go look at some of these older movies. I don't know if some of you all saw the videos going around about LC that talks about what happens when people get the jab, and how another movie called Utopia, where they basically going to stop people from getting, from reproducing for 3 generations. And who do we think is the targets for that? Who's always been the targets? I mean, we're always the targets. It's just that, as I mentioned in my video, the pit they dug, they're going to fall into what they've dug for us.
And you see them kind of falling into it now, because I've never seen this many mass shootings. It has been like, it was 2 today. They said 50 in the month of March. Something's
It
going
tends
on.
to get worse when Democrats get in office. I think it's just a controlled psyop, and the ultimate goal is to get rid of guns. The way they got rid of guns in the UK was to use Sinn Féin, right, from the Irish rebel group, and Sinn Féin kept blowing up streets in the UK. I think in the 70s, 80s, and out of that they got rid of all guns, banned off everything. I think it's the same kind of controlled approach.
I think it's deeper than that, because people are losing their minds,
Mm-hmm.
literally, and they cannot. I mean, think about it. Everybody has pretty much been in prison for a year. They've been stuck in the house, and no telling what type of stuff they've plotted in their heads. Not to mention unemployment rate. People have lost houses, cars, jobs. And I will say, we can handle loss much better than the other side, because we've had things taken from us, and we've had to reset and keep it moving. I think at least everybody has had something taken. If it be because we didn't do right by it, or if it be that situations fail the way they fail. But because of that, we never stop. We keep going. We keep going. Hey, they repo my car. Keep going. I lost my apartment. Keep on. I can get another one. They can't handle loss. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we're dealing in a time where it's like they can't, it's not adding up to them.
I think this place is still a nightmare for us.
Yes.
I don't think for them anything changed. Like, I was just looking at the New York Times. It was saying how it said Turner's skull was not the only one in circulation. 19th century newspapers occasionally advertised that the decapitated head had been discovered. Sometimes they were found on trains, left on the side of the road, or impaled, or stakes following executions. Public hangings of people of all races were a routine part of early American life. Now, we don't control America, right? We didn't do that. Vigilantes often took trophies, proof in their mind that justice had been served. They made purses of skin and took the grease from the flesh and used it as oil. These souvenirs were then passed down through generations. And we all know about the postcards of the hangings of the Negro from trees, and and that they also kept as mementos throughout family generations, pieces of people's ears and fingers and things like that, passed down generation to generation. So I'm like, I don't think they changed. I think maybe the law sort of reined them in for a season, but now with this whole lockdown, I think you're just seeing what's already out there.
Yeah, I have to say that also that we're seeing a lot of the media that has been used
Yes.
in the historical references being portrayed now even more. It used to be the old adage of, hey, black people get killed first in the movies, on Scary Movie, Marlon Wayne's character said, I see white people, all these things. But the trauma now has been, well, instead of just that social distortion that they try to use against us. Now let's put it all out there full front, and let's really talk about, look, this is what's happening with black people. This is how black people are dying. How black people are getting scared of themselves. That was the whole us thing, right? We're scared of our own shadows. Matter of fact, our shadows are evil, and they're gonna have scissors and running after us. To now, we're seeing that the movies are now looking at the confrontation of, just like what I was talking with Sister E about before with American Skin, and they're bringing out what we're seeing in everyday life with our real life struggles. It is a horror. It is a horror. It's an appall. It's appalling. But what that also goes is, if you're witnessing violence against something or someone, then you are programming yourself to see that violence become acceptable. That was the whole thing with Birth of a Nation. That was the whole thing in terms of why you started to see, not even 10 years later, the red summer, the Greenwoods, the Rosewoods, the Durhams, all of these places. It was because there had to be some sort of a media that allowed for that visualization, because once they get into your mind to visualize it,
Correct.
then you'll act on it.
Correct.
Can I piggyback off of that, Karis? I was thinking of, like I said, when you came up with this idea of the black trauma and programming, as Mr. Yacoba spoke about. I don't know if you've ever read the book A Clockwork Orange or seen the movie.
Yeah, I have seen Clockwork Orange. It is
Okay,
dramatic within itself.
yes. So you remember the part when they were basically programming
Yeah.
the main like that with the images of violence and rape and all types of destruction. Basically making him have an aversion to it. But what we see with the media is like they're doing the exact same thing, but it's having the opposite effect. Is to desensitize us to black suffering. So when they see us in the street, literally, it's becoming like, oh, they killed another black man. Oh, what else is on channel? What are we gonna have to eat tonight? It's getting to that point where it is normalized, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So I said we talked about predictive programming. You can see that all the way back to Birth of a Nation, Clockwork Orange, which is science fiction, but you're seeing those processes in place right now, and
Correct.
it's having its predicted effect.
Correct. Anybody else chiming in? I mean, because it makes it. It's so interesting that you brought up Clockwork Orange, because another movie I thought about was 28 Days Later. You remember the experimental monkeys, and
Yeah,
they
I
would
think
fill
so.
them,
Yeah.
and they would fill them with rage by watching what's going on television, and they kept saying, "Don't let them out of the cage, because if you let them out, they have a virus, and the virus is called rage."
Hmm.
And it's like and these were animals, monkeys in a cage. And it was some I guess those animal activists was like free the monkeys, and they was like, no, they have a virus. And from there it ended up being the whole world was full of rage because they were infected by whatever. It was like a zombie movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that whole predictive programming. And you know what's interesting is the predictive programming we're seeing now. I mean, people have been in the house at the house watching TV for a whole year,
Yeah.
a whole entire year. And now it's like they've let them out of the cage, and they are, I'm talking about, wreaking havoc. And I didn't want to segue because we're talking about the history, but it does make sense that rage. And one of the things that they're doing now is predictive programming, desensitizing them to black trauma. You know, you see a man in the middle of the street with his knee on the man's neck, and people are still arguing that wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the horrors. I say living this life, being black, is scary when you have children, because it's black trauma. You're concerned. And I was talking to Black Tastic, me and him were talking about this, and he mentioned a story that he saw, but I thought about it as well. You know, when our kids go out, you know, we got to worry about, you know, the trauma of other children wreaking havoc on our children, but also the system itself, that we have to explain to them. When you're around a police officer, no different than in the 50s, except you don't have to hold your head down and say, yes, sir, no, sir. You really got to just make sure you got your hands on the steering wheel. If your ID is in your pocket, make sure they can get to it. You tell them to go to it. Because
But it doesn't matter. I mean, even if you don't have nothing in your hand, like what's the right? They shot him. He didn't have anything in his hand. They killed him. You know, it don't matter what we do. That's why I say don't get mad at our, you know, Israelites who leaving and going to Africa. I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's hard to say. It's it's given, literally giving us PTSD. Like I said, when we come around police officers, because a few nights ago, I had to basically rush to try to get on Instagram Live, just because literally I was walking in my own, complex, drop my phone, pick it up, and I kept walking. And as I'm walking towards the entrance where the cars could come in at, a police SUV goes right in front of me and parks less than about 20 feet away from me. And I'm on phone, like I said, it was like, okay, I gotta get to Instagram, I gotta get live ready, because I don't know because he came in kind of fast, didn't know what he wanted. And so I'm like, only thing I'm waiting for him to say is, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? And I was gonna hit live at that second, knowing that anything can go down right now. Said this program we're seeing is giving us a form of PTSD.
Correct.
Mhm.
And if you look at the movie Them, they were both couples were dealing with the husband was dealing with a form of PTSD because he was in the war, and how they treated black people when they were, I think it was either World War I or II, I can't remember. It was World War II.
Hmm.
And then she was dealing with her own post PTSD because of what happened to her child right before her eyes.
Mm.
And how many of you all had flashback? I didn't see everything. I only saw what 2 or 3 episodes of them. When they were in the elevator, and they're like, you don't have to worry about coming to the meeting. That's okay. We gonna go. You don't have to. How many people had flashbacks on that?
Oh,
Mm.
yes. Yes. You've had that to happen where if you being honest, most of us, when we go in these jobs, especially if you work in corporate America, it's only a handful of us. You're talking about when the black guy was in the elevator with his manager.
Yeah, the
Yep.
manager and the other guy, and they were like, you ain't got
When
to
you drop the ink pen
worry
and
about coming to
everything.
the party.
Is that those thing when you drop the ink pen?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had to pick it up. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I have not watched them. He has brought it up to me. My kids have brought it up to me. I just, you all have to understand, I am traumatized. I can admit it,
Hmm.
and I have seen a therapist for it. And matter of fact, when I called the VA and told them I wanted to see a therapist, when they asked me why, I said, because I'm black in America.
Wow.
There it
I didn't
is.
go into my military service or any of those things. I'm a veteran, yes, but this service is available to me because I said because I'm black in America, and then that's really the only reason And that's because of, what my brother Aerospike was talking about. I should not have to be looking over my shoulder every time I see a cop and have a feeling of fear or foreboding come upon me every time I see them. It just shouldn't happen. I should be just as comfortable as anyone else walking down the street, going about my business, and doing the things that I do. And having to always have this fear or this idea that someone's always watching me, waiting for me to do something, or may say that or may falsely accuse me of something, and then the situation gets blown out of proportion, and now I'm a victim, and another statistic in this roller coaster of murder, that this country perpetuates on us. It messes with me on a daily basis. I can't lie about that. And then the other thing too, this is why I don't watch these shows. I have them all in my playlist, guys. I'll get to them eventually, but like I watch stuff in spurts, and when I say spurts, it'd be a long time between each spurt. I still haven't finished 12 Years a Slave.
Oh no, I can't.
I watch part of it, I cut it off.
Black Tasker, you got to be for real. You still haven't seen the fullness of Roots yet. You still stuck in the first Roots Part 1. You haven't made it halfway through
the drama. I've seen a lot of movies, but like this stuff recently,
man,
because of what I've seen in reality, from Southern California to now to Atlanta, I can't. In California, I had my own trauma with the police. Walking out of a restaurant in a suit, coming from a church service, and I walk out and I got red lights showing up on my suit.
Yeah.
And when I look up, there's cops in San Bernardino, California on each side of me that got guns with laser lights pointed at me. People are in the restaurant eating, everything is going on well. My sister was in the car and saw them. I got my children with me. And she started waving frantically and beating on the car window because the windows were up, telling me to look. And when I look up, the police officer doesn't say anything to me until I look up and says, "Take your hands out of your pocket."
See,
well,
and so that, and then I had a police officer try to run me off the road. I've had other interactions with the cops. So, I'm all that. When it comes to police, a lot of times I try to reason because I have family members and whatnot, but my experience puts me kind of in that NWA mode of, forget the police. But then with this country and other things that I've experienced, things that my father went through, things I saw growing up, my father used to tell me, "Boy, our bushes got feet." That means we grew up because of who my dad was under surveillance. I got kicked out of the school and told to go to school across town because they didn't want the kind of trouble that they thought that I would bring based on who my dad was, and because of an incident that happened with the basketball team, where one of the coaches ended up calling me and a whole bunch of other players, Mueller Park basketball players. When I told my dad, he said he called y'all niggas. And then he gave me the history behind this park. And he said, "I know who this guy is because I grew up with him, went to school with him." And so all these different kind of things, and then watching this stuff on the screen day after day after day on YouTube, on Facebook. I just don't want to see it right now because I can't handle it. I can't deal with it right now. And until I'm in a comfortable place where I can see it, I'm not gonna watch it. I'll listen to everybody else talk about it, but I can't digest it right now.
Well, them is a hard watch anyway, like somebody said. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the rest, but I think I told y'all this story. This was in Texas. We were in Tyler, Texas, and my friend
is right there. Yeah,
a friend of mine, he came to visit us, and we went to the strip mall, and so we split up for like a second, and I came back, and a whole bunch of cops, whoa, 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 right, circling the whole place. And they pulled my friend to the side, and I'm coming up to him. Now, my friend, he darker than dark, right, with a gold tooth. And he's a minister. And so, they were like, "Well, somebody wrote a bad check." I said, "Well, he didn't write a bad check." I said, "Because I was with him the whole time." Right. And so when they, they had like 10 cops around it. Right. And if we weren't there, because it was me, my wife, the guy's wife and him. If we all weren't there, they probably would have beat him down and put him in there and brought him to jail. And I know why they pulled him over, because he looked like he from the hood. He even though he had a suit on, dark skin go too. You know how it is in New Orleans. A lot of people that way, and they really had no reason to pull him over. But that is a constant situation that we go through as a people. And guess what? We all are traumatized. Every single one of us are traumatized. When them lights come on in the back, we all be like, "Oh."
Don't you haven't you realized it yet? It's the police job to terrorize us. That's what
Yeah.
they're doing. How a military lieutenant, right, get guns pulled on him for a so-called traffic violation? I wouldn't expect guns to be pulled on me for a traffic violation, even though he did have the license plate in his rear. So, I mean, we can look at that whole incident with that lieutenant and know that they had nefarious plans for that brother, because they came guns drawn. They wouldn't talk to him. They didn't want to hear it. Get out your car. Then they spray him. I mean, they had plans for that brother. And I can only conclude it's like the KKK. Let's get us going and hang him.
Yep. Tell you sound kind of far away.
I do. Okay, I thought I fixed that. I still sound far away right now.
We can hear you.
No, I mean it's lower than normal.
Oh, it sounds.
There's a hollow sound.
That's it. Thank you. That's what it is.
All right, I'll
It's
try.
like you in the bathroom or something like that.
Are you in a Baraka? Is that where you are?
I'm in the same place I always am. My office.
What is a Baraka?
Are you in a Baraka right now? Are you in a holding pen?
What is a Baraka?
I didn't know what a Baraka was either.
It's a Portuguese word for holding. What they held our ancestors in. When they would transition them from one place to another. But you guys gave some great points, and I think Jacoba said it that we all have been traumatized. And when you even start looking at it from just our DNA, it's medically proven that traumatic experiences can hack your DNA, and you can pass down learned behaviors to the next generation, and they don't have to experience what you've experienced. Correct. So many of us naturally have a natural phobia for law enforcement because of what's been hacked into our DNA. I mean, I can go right down the line, even with my military experience. I was in the Air Force for 8 years. What branch of service were you in, Mr. Black Taps?
Was it the Marine Corps? Like Karis?
Man, I'm not mad at you, man. No, I'm just joking with you. But in Mr. Black Tastic, I'm sure he's been through it just like I have. I've been harassed with my uniform on by local police. To the point where as though the base had to intercede because I was getting pulled over, car searched, you name it, almost every time I went off base. Then I had to deal with stuff on base. So I could tell you firsthand, my grandmother, going to surprise her, to visit her coming back from overseas, and she lived on Avon Avenue, near the intersection of Avon Avenue and Springfield Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. So I go there to visit her, and cops literally, like 15, 16 cop cars pulled up on me with guns loaded, guns in my face, with my grandmother pleading, and here it is. I'm military, you know what I mean? And I mean, got my military, not my uniform on, but I had, my military hat on, my ID is in my hand, those type of things. And guess what? All they did was once they verified that I'm a soldier, they just went on and pulled off, so we've all one way or another had to deal with, like, I guess the lesson today is the horror of racism from the workplace. And I'm sure you guys understand this. Like, our interview does not stop when we get the job.
Right.
We're interviewed no matter what. I've worked at some places as a director, far as PM on some high dollar projects. I could go right down the list of that, but it was as if my interview did not stop once I got the job. I was constantly being interviewed, like that elevator experience. like Yacoba brought up. So we've, every aspect, no matter where we turn our heads to, we still have to deal with some form of racism, some form of hatred, from how things are, how people are, talk to you, how people greet you. And sometimes even some of the hatred that you had to, you receive from within our own community really stems from that too, self-hatred. And
Yep.
I'm sure you guys could relate to it too. I've been burnt by our own people, because of the term of being called to sell out because I'm wearing suits, you know what I mean, to work, because I look a certain way, I articulate my words a certain way. So from every angle, I'm sure many of us on this panel had to deal with the same set of issues, in terms of the horror, the results of slavery, and being some to a certain point, dealing with what is it, PTSD,
Mhm.
as a result of some of the things that we had to be subjected to, just from the time that we were born. From the time that we were born, the odds were stacked against us. From the time that we were, matter of fact, being conceived, we were already handed down a set of behaviors that we were going to have to deal with once we came outside the womb.
Yep.
Something that's interesting, I was thinking about Pastor Kelly had triggered a thought. When I finished my last therapy session, the therapist, because it was all virtual, the therapist called me for a personal call. And he said to me, "Can you help us get more Black people into therapy?" And I said, "Well, I do talk about it amongst our people." He said, "The reason I'm saying it," he said, "is because you guys need it more than anybody else."
Wow.
He got a Black wife. So from a personal perspective, he's a white man, but he sees things differently because he hears her trauma and sees things on that particular regard. But we had a long conversation, and he made some points. He was pointing some things out to me about how it can affect people over time. And he even confirmed a lot of stuff that we, probably going to discuss even more so, how trauma is genetic. It can be passed on from one generation to another. So when people when people say foolish things to us like "get over it," well, do you know how much you asking us to get over?
Correct. Correct.
You
You
know,
know,
we ain't just getting over the 30, 40, or 50 years that any of us have been alive. We got to get over the 400 and 500 years of trauma in the Western Hemisphere that's been inflicted on us as a people, and that's been passed down because certain habits are developed and certain attitudes are developed over a period of time and passed down from generation to generation. And that's basically why America is still so racist. America has not elevated into this, so-called grand utopia. It's still racist because racism is still taught to
yep.
these from, that the same racists that hung our people on trees and burned their bodies at picnics, the same folks teach it. And we can go on YouTube, Facebook, or any form of social media and see that they're still practicing these very things. How in the world you see children, not even in double-digit ages yet, that are going around calling other children niggers and saying because you're Black you can't do? Where you learn that from? That baby didn't naturally have that in them. A racist that's raising them taught that to them, and it's going to continue from generation to generation because they're teaching that to their children.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's perpetual on both sides, right? They're perpetually taught to be racist.
Mhm.
We're perpetually oppressed because of that, and the history from our own family. Depending on your family, your grandfather might have passed it down to your dad. Your dad passed it down to you. All of y'all traumatized, and everybody needs help.
Correct, correct. The trauma I saw, and I've never being from Memphis, which is a predominant, they call it chocolate city. One of the chocolate cities. That's what a Black Tastic calls it. But Memphis is one of those that's predominantly Black. But in the outskirts of Memphis, you have a predominantly white neighborhoods. You have neighborhoods like and certain areas, being honest, you don't get caught up in. And it's not that for some reason, my experience where I ever feared being in an environment was when I first moved out of Memphis and I moved into Arkansas. And I remember I was like 30 and I was oblivious because I've been in Chocolate City my whole life, oblivious that there is a world outside of the world that I live in now. Um, Went to a restaurant and was on my phone just laughing, just laughing loud. And I walked straight into this restaurant. And as I'm on my phone, a chill went up my back and I looked up. I said, I told my friend, I said, let me call you back. She said, why? I said, I'll tell you in a minute. Click. Got in the car and I told her, I said, this is the first time I've ever walked into a restaurant and I was only blackface in the room. And everybody stopped eating and just looked at me. Now, they may have looked at me because I was loud, but I'm from Memphis. You're going to walk in, you're going to see some white, you're going to see some black, but you'll never see yourself in a situation where it's just all. That was the first time. And I remember the day that Barack Obama won the presidency and I was living there. I was so afraid of my life and my daughter's life. I went straight in the house and locked the door. Now, I'm not saying anything happened there because, that company don't want that type of bad press. They're going to make sure everybody has some act right. But it's just the fear of being black that you sitting here and you saying, I ain't got nobody here but me for a little bit. Let me get myself together. And it's trauma. And that's all it is. And it's not necessarily, some cases, they may not have done anything to you. They may be helpful. But the thing is, it's just that trauma of being the only black face in the room that you're going to come up missing.
And what's interesting, when you look at, our people here, who are descendants of slaves, and, you try to, let's say, talk and reconcile with the people on the continent, they really don't know our history, right? And so, like, when we bring up, hey, why you got a white picture of Jesus? Why you got a white picture of Mary? Stuff like that. They don't understand. They say we not about color. Well, we all about color. They made us that way, right? And so when we look at all of this stuff that's going on, we can't even really unite on the continent. That's why I'm starting to understand that, ADOS really only understand ADOS, and we have to roll together because even some of our people on the continent don't understand what we've been through and what we go through. And so therefore, even they don't have the compassion and sympathy for us because they don't really truly know. And I think that makes it harder for us as well. And I was listening to, I don't know if y'all follow Go Black to Africa. I like that dude. He's pretty swift. And, he was trying to tell them that as well, that, you all don't know our history. Right. And so, we are a traumatized people. And I think we're the only ones who truly understand because we deal with it every day.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem is they didn't leave anybody left who was of age. I mean, the majority of Africans are under 30. So where's the elders? What did the Europeans do to them?
They got a few elders. They're just not teaching. That's all.
Well, I'm just saying enough to educate the youth. You see? I mean, they say the majority of Africans are under 30. So,
yeah. And Sissy, if you don't mind, can I share something with everyone? Just kind of tying into where we are today and why we will never see and should never expect justice place to happen for any one of our ancestors or our brothers and sisters to this day that have been shot, that have been, if you use the war term, killed, because that's what they will use whenever the media classify or highlights a shooting among our community. They will use the term killing versus murder. There's a big difference. Killing basically is saying it's justifiable. Murder is when you take someone's life that's not justifiable, that you're not authorized to do so. So in wartime, guess what? That's legalized killing that can take place. It's legal because wartime. And so this is why you will always see why the news articles will always, treat us as if we are the actual perpetrators. So you could go right down the list. This has been the playbook that's been in place, even when we start studying the Gullah Wars. This has been the playbook. But what you see on your screen is a pledge, slave patrol, for the captain of the slave patrol. This is not just dealing with the regular people within the force. This is the captain right here. This is North Carolina. And I want to pull this up here so you guys can see it for yourself. It says here at the top, patrol for, you see, I think it says January 1856. Then when you go down to where it says to, actually where it says, sir, you are hereby appointed captain of the first class of patrol for the month of January 1856. And you could go on and you can see some of the other things here. It says, it is your duty to summons your company to meet at such time and place as you may direct and perform patrol duties at least 2 nights and each week, and on the Sabbath day to disperse all collections of Negroes or boys violating the ordinance of the town, right? And when you start really understanding this system, when you start in this understanding the Black codes, but especially with the slave patrols, which started in Barbados, you will see this is where the militia was created. In other words, those that may not be part of the patrol, but anyone can be part of a militia, and everyone within the community, the white community or Caucasian community, were empowered to call us to the floor, to call any person that they want to inquire about, say, hey, show me your papers, show me your ticket, to show me that you have permission to move around. We still see the behaviors today. When you look at Wisconsin, that 17-year-old guy, young teenager, a year ago during Jacob Blake's situation, he shot and killed literally 3 people, walking with his gun, still smoke coming out of it, and people yelling at the police saying he just shot some people. And what did the police do? They allowed him to walk through them. He jumped in his car, drove home. Now, if it had been any one of us, we just think about it, we're dead. So this tells you right here that no matter what we do, we can talk about voting and all this other stuff, but unless we address the culture, the only way you're going to undo all of this, you literally have to undo the Constitution. You literally have to rip it up and start it from scratch, which we know that will not happen, right? Why? Because this Constitution is it's put together by a specific group of people for a specific group of people. Where our community come into play, this right here should give those that are watching more information and a better understanding of what our ancestors were subjected to. So this is the pledge. I have other pledges I can share. And then last point I'll make with South Carolina, the slave codes of South Carolina, they use the term Negro. The term Negro was interchangeable for slave. The word Black was used interchangeably for slave. So Black, slave, Negro, you'll see those words interchangeable when you look up and really do the research on the slave patrols. So all the behaviors.
Pastor Kelly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Quick question. So are we considered citizens of the United States? Because I know with the civil rights and the right to vote, that has to be revoted on every few years. Are we really citizens?
To be honest with you, we're not. Because if we, quote, are treated equally like any other citizen, like you pointed out, why do they have to still vote on these things? Why do we still have to be subjected to the things that we're subjected to? This country was built off, or not just this country, but other countries' governmental system was built off the institution of racism. So the very definition of a racist, right? The people that created the system of race, right? They will fall right up under the lines of being racist. So how can we be classified as being racist?
So Black folks have to, the Congress have to vote every few years to give us the right to vote, but the white folks don't have to go through that. So that tells me we're second class at least, right? Second class citizens at least.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And so this is why I just wanted to just kind of put this up on the screen, just so that way, we are familiar with this, but just so some of our brothers and sisters that's still part of this system that are looking for the answers to come from this current president, the Congress, the House, to understand that no matter what they say or do, they will not be able to undo what we're dealing with right now. What's that? The case of Dred Scott. If you do the study on that case, the judge made it clear, not a single politician has the power to end slavery. So what did they do? They just came up with a supposed different criteria, of how someone could be enslaved. This is where you start getting into them coming up with what's that? The 13th Amendment, I believe, where it talks about if you get into trouble and all of this, then you can be incarcerated, you could be subjected to slavery or whatever. So they never removed or did away or abolished slavery, and only thing they did was came up with the 13th Amendment, and then they start coming up with other things like the more black codes to kind of force us into that system. That's when you start getting into the chain gangs. It's sad when you have 7 and 8 year old boys put into the chain gang down in Georgia, down in Mississippi, down in South Carolina. You could go right down the list with these things. But most people don't really understand this. And even when we see what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, that is all part of the legal system of the black codes, and all that was done was ported over to this system that we see today.
You are correct. The system has never changed. I consider us to be an addendum to the Constitution. It was never added to. It was just an extra attribute to say, or an extra excerpt to say, okay, they can have access to this. But if anything, if you know anything about an addendum, they can take an addendum off as fast as they add it.
Not only that, case law says that we aren't citizens. Case law. So, how that goes.
Wow.
So even when we speak about the Constitution, right? The first 10, right? Those 10 articles, guess what? You can never change it. Where did we fall at? Where did we fall up under? We fell up under, I believe, number 4 or 5, whereas though we were property, to whereas though they could not, the government could not go on a white person property and take us or take anything from them without giving them compensation. You know what I mean? We fell under the property laws. We fell up under them as property, not as being actual citizens, not even being considered a people. We were property. We were owned property.
Correct. Anybody got anything? I know Ruhama had a few things she was asking. Or Ruhama? Okay.
Oh, I'm here. I'm just waiting.
I knew you had a few questions. You hadn't got a chance to say anything.
Oh no, I just wanted to say hi. Shalama, Siame, Shalom to everyone on the chat. Hey family in the chat. But I was thinking though, like the other day when the young man had gotten pepper sprayed and everything, and you're just playing that situation out in my mind. It's like, what else could he have done? He had his hands outside of the car, and I mean, there was nothing else that he could do. Get out! I want to kill you. I mean,
because there's that unknown law that still applies that Pastor Kelly was talking about for the slave patrol. They got to check the slave every now and then. Hey, boy, what you doing in this area? You supposed to be out here at 7 p.m. You ain't supposed to be in this neighborhood, boy.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
they came with guns. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Taya.
They came with guns drawn. So to me, they had nefarious intentions from the start. I never, a traffic violation shouldn't start off with guns drawn. So, they had an agenda. The question is, what was the agenda? I think we could sort of guess, some of our people end up hanging from swings and trees and they say they killed themselves. We can only wonder how that transpired.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Just to that point, if we really want to understand Deuteronomy 28:68, that lieutenant that was treated the way that he was treated, and others like myself, like Mr. Blacktastic and others, who have gone into the military, many gone into the military to change things for their family, hoping to get a better life, to get outside of the situations of growing up in some of the areas that we've grown up in. I grew up in North New Jersey, a very rundown area. I grew up in the projects, right? And some of those that are watching, Prince Street. But nevertheless, when you understand the curse, it says that what? You will what? Offer yourselves. In other words, you try to sell yourself, right, to others. In other words, you would try to enter into an agreement to try to circumvent judgment, and no one will be able to what? Redeem you. Take you, remove you from this curse. The only way we could be removed from this curse is by what? Submitting ourselves to the Father, going to Him as individually as well as corporately as a community. But when you really understand Deuteronomy 28:68, and what you see happen to that soldier is a perfect example of what Deuteronomy 28:68 is saying, that you can enter into all kinds of agreements with the oppressors, but guess what? They will not redeem you. They will not pull you out of this curse. They will
So,
not
Pastor Kelly,
Go ahead.
you know of Pastor Akwerte Ama? Have you heard of him? Akwerte Ama. He's an
Akwete or Akwerte?
Akwerte Ama.
Is that the guy with the everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'll call him Akwete. So yeah.
Okay. So he said that Deuteronomy 28:68 does not apply to the transatlantic slave trade and has nothing to do with us. What's your comment to that?
Well, I just answered that. You know what I mean? I start tuning a lot of stuff out because you know how what Paul says in Romans chapter 1, that we've become so wise that we become fools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't even deal with that stuff, because to me it's like, why? It's right there. And it's a perpetual curse, right? It's not just a one-time curse, it's perpetual.
And we live in it.
We living it right now. Literally, we are living it right now.
But see, he African, so he probably don't know that, right?
You know what? I think too, man. A lot of people say that, and it sometimes takes them a while to come around to it, and they say, you know what? I saw that. I once didn't see it that way, but after more research, now I do. So sometimes you just pray for people to, because we are still in a state of being awakened. When you waking up, wiping out, everything comes into focus over a period of time, not always right away. And until you understand what you're looking at, and then take another look around you, sometimes you don't realize that, wow, I was wrong. This is talking about, this, or this can apply, in more than one way. Because I know that happened to me. And it was like, because, the Most High is the one in charge of all of this, the veil comes off of our eyes all at a particular time. And so the brother you argue with today who can't see it, by next week might come back to you and say, yo, I prayed, I read, I studied, I fasted, and and now I see it differently. You might run into people. So, sometimes, like I said, I see that happening to people now. And that's also why I'm probably a little more patient with some of the ministers and church folks, that I've dealt with in the past, because I get asked a lot of questions lately. And people that I talked to like a year ago or a few months ago, however long ago, because things start to get to a point where you say, this is what, like Dante's book, this is undeniable. I can't believe I didn't know this or see this before. Because if it's something that the Most High is revealing as we're awakening, then everybody's going to wake up at a particular time. Your alarm clock maybe was set at 5:30 a.m. Mine was at 7:30 a.m. He's the one choosing the time. So, but everything's happening, and I guess that's how I look at it. But I understand exactly what you're saying, about that. And people on the African continent, because they're in a whole different part of the world that didn't experience a lot of what we did, their paradigm is different, and a lot of them do have a more difficult time seeing it from our perspective, unless they were people who already believe that we are the people, then they have a little more empathetic view.
Did y'all see the video, the white guy who was dressed in military gear or whatever, the gear that they wear, and he was saying, yeah, we didn't do nothing about those protests last summer, but this summer we coming. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what y'all think about that? Because it looks like these people just ready to just go
Man,
buck
that
wild.
guy looked like such a wimp, though. You like slap him down, Get out of here.
Yeah, he's the kind that'll pick on a woman or something if he
Yeah,
sees her in the
exactly.
shop.
And
You
he
know,
on the right
he won't get him.
He gonna smack him down. So
Yeah.
You get what they on character and on South Park, they took her drugs.
Look, Sister E have him pinned down.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's like those guys that did the insurrection back on January 6th.
Oh wow.
Many of them were talking so tough, but now one of them just said one of the main guys is cooperating to point out everyone else.
Man, you mentioned jail to them. They start
You
snitching on
treating everybody.
I have no code, do y'all?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that Micah 5'8". I know y'all think I'm rough, but look, I'm looking for Micah 5'8" because there's time for some payback. I'm tired of all this killing of our people, and we don't do nothing about it.
But it's
Me and
been
you both.
But the scary thing is, I got a feeling, y'all, this year is gonna be this is gonna be an interesting year. That's all I gotta say. I don't want to say it'll be rough for us, but the more you look into it, like this week is gonna be interesting because they're supposed to be coming with the verdict on
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it's just like everybody's gonna be bracing themselves because either side right now is waiting for waiting for something to pop off, and it's just like, oh my goodness.
If they do the verdict, I'm sorry.
If
they do the verdict at night or on the weekend, you know what it's going to be.
Yes.
Every time they did a verdict, right, that they knew was going to be unfavorable, it's always done at night and on the weekend.
Well, y'all, if they do the verdict, I need everybody to be ready. Who gonna do the live? Because I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna talk about it. So
just call us, Sister E.
you know me. I'm already like, I ain't got nothing playing Wednesday.
Let's put Sister Rahama down there so she can be our wartime correspondent.
I know.
I was thinking about you, Rahama.
Karen's gonna send Sister Rahama out there.
Wait, because I got a cup of tea in my hand.
With the Kevlar jacket, hook her on up with the little what is it, the little selfie stick?
No, I'm gonna get a drone just to follow her.
What we gotta do is send Karis out there and be in his Uncle Ruckus mode. They might let him survive.
He will not live.
As long as I'm sponsored, I don't care. Listen, I'll be up in there now.
But you know what?
You know what is
I was just thinking about something, guys. Like I did a teaching on Deuteronomy 14 and also not Deuteronomy 14, Exodus 14 and also Exodus 15 over the weekend. And I just thought about it, and you guys could share your thoughts. But remember how the Most High, when you really study the text, he actually made the Israelites believe that they were led down a dead end. The path that he took them through versus the path that they could have gone was twice as long and took them right to what appeared to be a dead end. And the Egyptians, the spies came back and told Pharaoh, basically in a nutshell, that they're confused, they're lost, they're at a dead end. Now we can go and have our way with them. We can bring them back into captivity. We can do whatever we want with them because they're confused. And it kind of looks similar to what kind of parallel to where we are today. As a community, we look confused. We look like we are at such a disadvantage. And could this be the time that I believe it's the time that the Most High is going to show up like never before? Yeah. We already saw some judgments taking place, but right now we look like we're defeated. We look like we at a dead end. We haven't, like David had to hear a few times, where is your Most High, or where is your God? Some were transliterated to that. think about what we're dealing with right now. As a community, we look like we're at a dead end. We look like we're defeated. We look like all the odds are stacked against us. Just what do you guys think about that?
First, I want to say thank you, Eric
Well,
Tinsley, for your super chat. I just want to say thank you, Eric Tinsley, for your super chat, $49. Thank you.
I will say something about that right away. That right there is a message that I think that we should probably be carrying more often. Instead of thinking about the doom and gloom and the defeat, because we know the pattern of this country, we also have to realize that the end of the book ends in victory. We win. And that the promises bring us victory, not defeat, not more doom, not more gloom. That everything that the Most High promised to us, there is a sunny side to it, and that we come out on top. And I like what Pastor Kelly said, because we got to remember, in the midst of all of the conspiracies and all these various things that's going on, we got to infuse our people with hope and with faith, so they'll be able to hold on. And now someone has said earlier about, we can't walk in fear, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I want you to understand too, I didn't even, I'm going to speak for myself personally. I didn't go to therapy because I was walking in fear. I went to therapy because I was walking in anger.
Yes.
In intense anger. Because see, if the police try to do to me what I've seen done, the video they show of me ain't gonna be laying down on the ground with their knee on my neck.
I know that's right.
I'm scared.
They might be like, man, he went out like a soldier. He was like Scarface, because I'm not gonna lay down for that. Yeah. I got too much anger in me. Now I have a fear for my people of what they would try to do to you and everyone else. But for my own life, I've already counted it lost for the cause. So I don't have
preach, Blacktastic, preach
of these devils. But I like what Pastor said, because that's it, man. We serve a mighty, miracle working, wondrous Elohim, and we can't forget that even though we might be surrounded on both sides by mountains, a Dead Sea or Red Sea in front of us, Pharaoh coming up behind us, we serve a Most High that moves mountains, parts waters, and defeats armies without us even having to raise a hand to do anything. So we got to bring back and infuse and instill the faith and the hope over the fear.
That's true.
Amen.
And so, and I love that. I love that.
I need an organ on that one. I need an organ on that one.
Wait, where's the organ? Where's the organ?
You preached right there,
Blacktastic. And one thing you said, Brother Blacktastic, is that we are at the Red Sea. I think we are at that situation, and I'm expecting the Most High to show up.
What, man? That's amazing. That's amazing.
May I add something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Aaron. I just got here.
Oh no, it's you, Mr. Blacktastic. You got my heart just going. I'm about to run. But anyway,
hey, don't blame me. Blame Pastor Kelly.
No, he set it up.
But it's like what I was thinking about.
Tambourine.
Go ahead.
With Pastor Kelly, what you said reminded me of something that I saw today. He talked about how the Most High, like you said, he led the Israelites like to a dead end. I also think about the other times when the Most High set up their enemies to go against themselves. And what came to mind is an article I saw today. Did you know that the law that Texas has passed, that you no longer have to have concealed carry, or it's open carry without permit or training? You can just have a gun. What do you think is about to happen in Texas right now among them, and especially things the evil that we've been seeing going on in Texas? Now imagine a whole bunch of Texans say, "Oh, I can have a gun, and it's going to be OK Corral 2021." Our enemies are going to be turning upon themselves.
What's that?
That's Sister E right there, y'all.
No. Let me get my bass out. Play my riff.
That's me right there in the gray suit. I said, "Oh, Pastor Kelly, hallelujah!"
I done ran around the church 3 times.
I took a lap. Yes, amen.
Done took 3 laps. Nope, that's my cue.
But
You're always a little lighter after you give your offering.
What Pastor Kelly said was so on point, because if you even look at the border situation where all of these immigrants coming in, it's basically going to eliminate the voting power of black folks. This is why you got like Biden and them turning away, not even really thinking about our issues, because they worrying about them now. That's their voter base. That's why they fighting so hard to get these the IDs away from voting, so they can get all these folks coming in over the border to vote. So it's a lot of stuff that's stacked against us. But I remember this dude that was hiding, his wheat by the wine press, that ended up running up on a whole army with like 300 dudes of ragtag dudes that y'all told them to put together, and they won. So that's what he said is just so on point, because we do our best work behind the 8 ball. Well, y'all do his best work behind the 8 ball to let us know that it ain't our power.
Sister, he was about to preach. Won't he do it?
That was Ruhama. That was Ruhama. I looked at the video we did. She said she was shaking. She gonna be shaking in a minute.
That's when I was a teenager. I was faking it out for this young minister. I wanted him to lay his hands on me.
Oh, watch out now! Too much information.
No, on my head. You know how they always put their hands on your head.
I looked back at that video and I laughed at it last night, because when you start saying you were shaking, I said only Ruhama. So, I mean, but what's interesting is this is what we're gonna see. He said, "What? Stand still. We're gonna see the salvation of Yah," and that's what's going on right now. It's like we're watching it, and it's gonna get worse as he deals with the nations. They're gonna find some way to take it out on us.
Oh yeah,
brother. Europeans are in confusion. Like if you go on YouTube, if you go on Twitter and just look at them arguing with each other, it's insane and it makes no sense. They just argue with each other about everything, and they make up the most illogical arguments about the most ridiculous stuff, especially when it comes to this jab. This cat said, "Oh, if you trust cars and you trust airplanes, then you should trust this." I'm like, what? That don't even make sense, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, it's getting. The more that they get, the more Yah judges them, the more they're gonna come and try to come at us. But I mean, it's just a matter of us just stand still and just see the salvation. Think about the trauma of racism is causing us at times to argue with each other. We're literally arguing with our own people, saying that the Most High loves us and we are important to Him.
And they don't want to accept that.
They said, ain't nobody special than y'all, all the same.
Exactly.
The struggle is not the same. Period.
There's no Jew nor Greek.
Yep.
No male or female.
Don't judge a man, no holy day.
Here we go.
We supposed to love our enemies. That's the big one right there. Love our enemies.
Yep.
But that's a setup. Crump was called out by a lot of the mothers of the victims, because he tells them this is why they do that. They're basically set up. He comes in and coaches them and tells them what to say, because she wanted to go off. I forget. It was
Tamir Rice's mom.
Tamir Rice, yes. She was like, I wanted to go off. And he came in and told her, no, they don't like angry black women. You got to forgive them. You got to tell everybody not to, argue in the streets, because that's what they know is wrong. So they want to get them to come out to try to keep the status quo, because by right, we should be tearing everything up in the city.
Big Red, let me put my Samuel Jackson face on. Yes, they deserve to die. I hope they burn in hell.
Exactly.
Sister E, can you put on the screen the post that Angie Love Yah, what she wrote?
What post?
Look what she posted. She said she read this passage, said Jesus would get the jab.
Oh no,
bro!
Now see, they've gone too far. Just because he would take the wheel, don't mean he would take the jab.
That was Franklin Graham who said that.
Wait a minute, I need Blacktastic to do that one more time for me. Do that one more time for me.
Again.
My eyeballs that big.
Get that hurt. I'm glad you're moving now, Mr. Blacktastic. I remember the first time I saw you.
If they ever interview me, I'm going straight into Samuel Jackson mode. Everybody burned to die. I hope they burn in
That's the
I
problem.
don't be praying for forgiveness.
Some of them go to the other Samuel L. Jackson.
Quoting nothing but that movie.
That's gonna get us all in trouble.
You got to be the other Samuel L. Jackson. Calvin, that's the cat they like. Why he on the nag?
Yeah.
They're gonna be playing from Django.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them old Sam.
But you know what? They act like we the only group of people who don't have a right to get angry. That's what get me. Everybody else could get angry, but we can't. And they say, hey, y'all need to control yourselves. Yeah, y'all murdering us, killing us in the street, and we supposed to be calm.
Yeah, and just put on a dress and shut up. That's all.
Yep.
If you're a guy.
Pat Robertson even made a comment. You know when Pat Robertson say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw that.
He even made a comment on it. And normally he don't say anything about the police.
He knows.
I think he's just trying to get in good before he goes.
What did she say though? What did she say? She said they need more training.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear that.
They don't need no more. They've been trained. That's how they're supposed to do that. They were trained.
No, I think Pat called it out. Like I was shocked. He even had the gun and the taser up there and said, "Look at these two. How can you mix them up?" I was like, "Whoa!"
Pat called it out because he can get all the diamonds out of Africa. He can handle now. So I get some of his American money.
Yeah, I don't trust him. I'm suspect.
He got enough blood diamonds. So he said, "Let me go ahead and over here."
They do. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't roll with him, but that just caught me by surprise. I was like, wait a minute. He said something about the police officers. The police. He normally he rocks with them. He's all about the government and everything. You know how they do. But for him to say that, I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe some of that black money not coming
he pulled
through.
out both of them. He pulled out the taser. He pulled out the gun. And I thought he was about to put a live one in the clip, man. I thought he was about to do
He'll set it off. No, some of that black offering is not coming through. That could be it. I don't know.
He pulled that pistol. Clack, clack. This ain't the same as a taser.
Yeah. He like clap.
Off the dollar points, yeah. You know what's the one thing that I was giving to go with what Sister E said. The one thing that in the media that like you see this every time. I was watching. I think it was Friday when they were interviewing Dante Wright's parents. The one thing that will get under my skin and make me want to punch through my TV is when they put on the onus on the parents of the slain. They said, do you want to basically tell the protest to be peaceful? Do you want to do that? And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, wait. They're about to bury their child, and you asking them about, do they want the protest to be peaceful? I'll be sitting there like, they killed my baby. Why do I give a care if they gonna be peaceful or not? I don't care about their property. I care about my child who is no longer here. So ask me a proper question. It goes along with, do you forgive them? Why do you need to know? Why is that important? Because again, to me, that's the measuring stick. They're like, okay, if they say they don't forgive them, we need to keep an eye on them because they could be an influencer with other people, which us not having to be forgiven. It's like, and they're like, oh, we got to stomp on them more because they no longer docile and forgiving of us. They're gonna get real upset real quick. I'm like, we got to that point now where it's like, don't ask me that question, and I don't care what these dudes do in the streets. That got nothing to do with me. I'm thinking about my child.
What about that young lady that got beat up in the bar by the bartender?
Oh, that we do, yeah.
And her parents were with her and they were interviewing her. I saw that, and the dad was just looking for justice. And I looked in the comments as I usually do, and they were like, "Dad, don't look for justice. Look for the guy."
Real. I just gonna say I ain't never seen a European judge come down and hug no black victim and give them a Bible.
Well,
especially when the victim walked in another person's house and shot them and said, "Oops, I thought I lived here."
Or take them to Burger King.
Right.
But yes.
They get rewards
after killing 9 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was just having a bad day.
Yeah. Me to go sit on the toilet.
They figured he didn't have his Snickers, so they got him some Big Mac. Oh, you ain't not the same when you haven't had your food.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what they said about the guy that shot up in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas shooter that injured hundreds of people, killed 50 people. They said he just, he was going through a rough time of his life and the medication that he took just caused him to get angry and upset. But we can love him through it. We just gonna have to address the medication that was assigned to him, prescribed to him.
We got to deal with the opioids.
But see, that's the playbook. If you go back and look at every shooter, right? That's the playbook. They always have something to point out about their past, the medication that they're taking, and the stress that they were up under. That's what they put out first. They would not put out the stuff that we see, like the guy down in Georgia. They were trying to set up the whole Asian, with hate crimes against the Asians. They were trying to direct it to our community, but then a monkey wrench got thrown in that when the guy when he saw that it was a Caucasian guy shooting up these Asian places. And what was the police? What did the police chief do? Oh, he said he was battling with sex addiction, and so it's not a hate crime. He was just battling with some personal issues.
Or like the dude that dressed up as a Joker and walked in that theater and shot everybody. Oh, he was a brilliant mind that just really was under a lot of pressure and stress.
They showed his best photos. They usually do have their best mugshot. Not even a mugshot. It's just I don't know. They have their best Sunday go meeting and whatever. And they're just looking so nice and clean. And oh, look at them.
Meanwhile,
and the worst picture of us.
Meanwhile, remember that brother that saved all those women from that basement that was locked up under there? He was a homeless dude, and he went in there and saved all those women. And then the next day, they dug through his past and was like, "Yeah, back in '85, he was hitting women." I'm like, "What that got to do with anything?" He
So
just
this the
saved
Blacktastic.
lives.
Your Samuel Jackson impersonation you did, they're gonna use that and run with it. Tell you the one time I did not pay attention to what I had on. They've been running with it ever since. When I had on the t-shirt, with a V-neck t-shirt, and I said, Sister E, they gonna make videos and off of videos off this one thing.
Were you wearing a beater?
No, I wasn't wearing a white beater.
A white shirt, white t-shirt. I didn't think anything about it. I was like, "Hey, you want to go live?" I didn't think it was gonna hit that.
Like, doesn't go have your eyes like.
But what's so crazy is that's when I didn't have a lot of subscribers, so I was still on the Rich channel. So I'm thinking it wasn't gonna hit that many people until it did, and I think a couple of months later he said, because I think by that time I was like over 1,000 subs, because when I did it, I was like at 400 or 500 subs. When I hit over 1,000, I think it hit Pastor Kelly that they finna pass his video around. Can you please put that video on private? Somebody tried to come back and say, "Oh, she put that video on private because she's trying to hide it." I was like, "No, I'm not. He don't like his white t-shirt." That was funny. But I mean, what we're seeing now, like I said, Wednesday, I'm gonna be in front of I'm gonna watch the news on Wednesday.
So that's when it concludes.
Yes.
And can I say something real quick too? Also, going back to what we originally were talking about, another reason why they love or why trauma is the new, horror story, is because our trauma, our pain makes white money.
Yeah.
It's very profitable to make merchandise of Black people. If they're not making a fool of us, then they're using us as a tool. And they're using our anger because the anger keeps us in this perpetual cycle where we can be so angry oftentimes we will miss a lot of things. Sun Tzu in The Art of War, his ancient strategy book, he talks about making your enemy so angry that they can't focus because it makes them easier to conquer. And so he says, you want to provoke them to do things that they should not do so that way they fall into your trap. And, for us, we have to strategize better when it comes to these things. There are going to be, and then, because they throw out all the stops. Oh, it was written by black writers, directed by black directors, black people in it. You should support it. Well, that don't mean, just because I go to a dinner party and everybody's drinking Jim Jones Kool-Aid, that I'm going to sit down because all the people drinking it is black. I'm going to be like, these Negroes going to die. I'm going to live and tell the story. So, you have to participate, in everything.
That's right.
Because some stuff is being pumped and promoted to you because a lot of people that are already in Hollywood, and it's sad to say, but as we hear and we say all the time, all skin folk ain't kin folk. A lot of people have sold out to the system. Remember, every slave rebellion that ever happened in the United States was all snitched on. Another slave told. Okay? They always got a Sambo waiting to go cooning and buffooning and telling on you. It always happens. Somebody always wants the butter biscuit, and they want the biscuit more than they want freedom.
Correct.
And it's kind of like we talk about the Matrix all the time. The guy said, I know this ain't the right thing, but it feels better for me. I'm gonna do it and sell everybody else out. And you got a lot of folks that still think like that, even on our side of it. So some things we just gonna have to make a concerted effort, even in checking our own people and saying, no, you can't do this, or no, that's not beneficial to us as a person. But we got to realize too that certain folks get to a certain status and forget that they were elevated to that status by other people who they forgot to turn around and pull up with them. And we can't take that lightly. We can't let that go. And that's one of the things that I find amongst us, different from other races, is we don't discipline our wayward folks. We end up allowing it, forgiving them, celebrating them, and letting them do it. But look at what happens when other cultures have folks that do something that they feel is an embarrassment or egregious to them. Joe Paterno, Joe Pa, America's coach, they done destroyed that man. And even they still trying to build up things for his family, but they cut that dude loose like he had every STD ever been committed and got rid of him. And this is what they'll do. Asian people will do the same thing to their folks. Remember, this is a culture that made people commit suicide. Like, you got to go.
Harry Carey.
You got all of these, but we as a people, we don't hold our people accountable many times. We let them assimilate into other cultures and communities, and then bring back that stuff that they learned from those folks to us. And then we say, oh, it's okay because you look like us, but they have left us a long time ago in mind and spirit, and they're no longer, they're like what John said. They went out from us, but they are not of us.
They were cloned back then, weren't they?
Hold on, before Pastor Kelly say something, I gotta play that part of the movie because Matrix is my movie.
I like the Matrix.
This right here does speak to that one scene.
Oh, look at that red meat.
Yeah, they love that blood, boy.
Man.
You just put me.
Hold on, let me go back. It ain't loud. You can't hear it.
Telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious.
That's it. It's the Matrix is telling them that the steak is delicious and they're eating slop.
Yep.
That right there, when I saw that movie, I was like, wow. And really telling them that this isn't steak, people stop eating it. And they steadily shoveling colonialism down their throat. Just, this is good. And you just like, it's poison. It's
poison. We're doing good at Massa's house. We're doing good.
It's poison in them butter biscuits. Stop eating it. And they steadily just shoveling it down.
Sister E,
off an hour early.
Did you ever see? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mama.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Second Birth Hebrew, for your super chat as well. $15. Thank you.
And since we were talking about the Black Trump, said 2 movies came to mind, especially when Mr. Black Taster was talking about people. Like I said again, amongst our own, who have completely sold out to the system. Did you ever see the movie A Spook Who Sat by the Door?
I heard
Oh,
of that. I didn't see it yet.
That's one of, if you ever get a chance to see, it's on YouTube, but since we said it now, they probably pull it off, but I got it. Don't worry. I get it to you. Um, but it was that movie and a movie called The Drop Squad from the 90s that dealt exactly with those things with people who, again, who are so entrenched in the system and they're benefiting from it. They would do anything to push down those who are trying to escape from it. Like I said, there was one of the main characters. Well, the main character from Spook Who Sat by the Door, Who Sat by the Door. His pseudonym was named Uncle Tom.
mm,
And it was Uncle Tom, but he was the good guy. Well, he was the protagonist. But when that movie came out, what I'm understanding is that a lot of movie theaters would not show that movie there because it terrified white people. Because it was showing the basic premise is a guy who gets trained by the CIA. He goes back to the hood and trains gang members to
man.
fight guerrilla warfare. People had a fit. They were like, "Oh no, we can't have this." Was like at the height, near the height of the Black Power movement in the early '70s. I think it came out in 1971, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube, or you can find, or get the book. It was Sam Green who wrote it. But the concepts that they had in there was like, wow, this is something. And the movie Drop Squad, I think it came out in '94, roughly somewhere around there, was the
I
same
remember,
thing.
I remember Drop Squad, the
Yeah,
Spike Lee movie.
yes,
Yeah.
Yep.
coming in there and doing that. And I was like, and as like Mr. Black Plastic said, we don't hold our people accountable. And the way I view, especially the latter movie, is that's a version of that of holding our people accountable. It's like, look, you are killing your own children in the streets when you sit here and going, yes, Massa, we's ain't gonna get angry, Massa. You're right. We gonna be okay, Massa. You say no. When you do that, you're taking, Ayana, the young 7-year-old who was shot sleeping. You take, on the couch years ago, her being killed. Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, you are betraying those same people when you take the attitude. Like I saw somebody talked about Omarosa, that very attitude. You're basically spitting on their graves.
Can I say something towards
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
I'm kind of, I have mixed views about that,
Hmm.
because, and the reason why I say this is because even with those tragic situations that happen, I know I've been out on the ground doing a lot of stuff and being in, and have been in contact with a number of people trying to hold accountability to even here where I live at. I meet with many members that's within the city council and things along that line. But where I'm mixed at with, have mixed thoughts with it, is like the example that was used, for example, the football coach that was molesting babies, I mean, molesting boys and
Mm.
those things. It seemed to come to the forefront when others start feeling as if their position was going to be in jeopardy, right?
Mm,
When you
Mm.
start looking at when these different situations happen, it's not that they came out in the beginning. It's just when their positions started getting to a point that their paychecks started getting threatened. Then
mm,
they came out. For me, is when I think about uh, when I, because I hear it a lot. How come your community don't do this? Not just within the Hebrew Israelite community, but in general. I think about what happened in slavery. Who was the slave masters using to beat our people?
mm,
Most
Hmm.
cases, it was our own people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So for me, when I start really looking at it, looking at the layers of it, for the most part, yeah, they'll handle things internally, but for it to get to a place that it's a public situation, it's because it got out of hand and they couldn't keep it internally. So
Mm.
now many of them are saving face.
mm,
I totally agree that we have to have a level of accountability, but for me, I believe that it should start internally first. That because if we make it a habit of doing exactly what the other communities want us to do, almost like lynching our brothers and sisters publicly. No, that's not how we're supposed to handle things. When Nehemiah when he led the rebuilding of Jerusalem, they built the walls first and then dealt with internal issues, and kept it internal. So that's why I say I'm kind of mixed on it.
Okay.
I agree that we need to hold each other accountable, but I don't believe that it should be public accountability, because it could do a lot more to our community than helping our community, because of the issues that we've had, starting with slavery, of using our own community, the slave masters, the plantation owners, using our own people to do some of their to perform some of the acts that they did not want to do on our own people.
So you mean I can't publicly embarrass some people that I want to embarrass to look like me? That's what you're saying.
No.
I can't do that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is one of the main reasons why it's a lot I can say, but I pull back because of that very thing.
Yep.
If I get to a point that I have to bring something public, it's because basically my hands got to a point that I had no other choice, and I need to bring the community, bring it to the community's attention. But that's the last thing I want to do. I'm kind of like old school. My grandmother taught me and my brothers, if you go out this house, I bet not hear that you guys are fighting each other out there. Because if I hear that you guys are fighting each other out in the public, y'all got another fight y'all gonna have to deal with. We supposed to stick together no matter what, but when we come home, we handle our disagreements inside the house. My grandmother, hey, if we need to put on the boxing gloves, believe it or not, my grandmother had a set of boxing gloves for us to put on. So I just believe that there's a process, there's an order that we should handle things.
And I agree with that. And I think the thing is what you said, if we have to come out publicly, then it has to be done publicly. The problem with celebrities is everything they do is public.
Yeah.
So in order to stop their amount of influence over the general populace, some things it's unavoidable. Some things have to be done public because they're propped up by their handlers, quote unquote, i.e. modern day slave masters, to do exactly what you said the other slaves who whipped folks did, but they're whipping us a different way.
Correct.
They're pleasuring us through entertainment to influence us and redirect us, or misdirect us the wrong way. And because they have the platform, it represents some modicum of power and influence that they're able to exert over the people. So the people are going to, at some point, number one, we got to work on our unity internally first, so that we can discipline or talk or communicate with each other effectively, not even if so much the discipline, but to come to a common ground and understanding. But then for those that have broken away from us and are now in the spotlight, the public eye, and things of this sort, like different ones like Floyd Mayweather's and Candace Owens and different ones who make statements every now and then that make you go, there has to be something in place. Say, hey, we're not rocking with that in a way that lets them know that's not going to be supported or accepted by us. We don't even have to embarrass them. We just have to withdraw our support silently so that they feel it in a way that makes them realize, hey, I was wrong about this. I need to come back to this and correct themselves. Because sometimes it's got to be like back in the day, my mom told me wherever I acted up is where I was going to get it at. So I knew if it was at aisle 7 on the stove, I was getting it at aisle 7. If it was in the parking lot, that's where I was getting it, because she was like, you're not going to embarrass me, like this. So you make sure your behavior is right where you're at, so I don't have to approach you where you're at. And then both of us is out here, folks look at that woman beating her child, but the child was acting like a fool at the same time. So I agree, and like I said, I would resort to publicly doing anything against someone as a last resort. But if there's no other alternative for the sake of the people, we may have to do this at times.
But what's going to make us come together? Because we have a hard time coming together because they broke up our community. I mean, like right now, Kid Cudi should be cancel culture. Tyler Perry should be cancel culture. A lot of these entertainers and rappers need to be canceled, right? I mean, we all need to come together on that, but we don't. I'm like, I don't even know what to say about it, be honest with you.
It's going to be Yeshua. He's going to have to bring us together.
Have to do it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We're so broken. We're so, the amount of trauma that they put on us in the past, I want to say, we got to say beyond the 400 years we're here, but beyond the 400 years, when you look at the things that happened in the great teachings that were coming out with dealing with the Spanish Inquisition, where you saw mothers snatched away from their children and their children shipped over into San Tome to do the work of the Portuguese, and how our people had to get traumatized by that. Then, not to mention how the trauma has chased our people since Hamashiach called it out. Trauma has always chased us and followed us, and the trauma now that we speak of, which is the 400 years, because it's so closely connected to us, is not that far apart. By the way, by way of hearing about things where kids snatched away from you because of watch meeting night. You're scared that you're gonna lose your child. That's where you got your baby 1 minute, and the next thing you know, again, I always bring this up, but it's harsh. The alligator bait. One person trying to make sure they ain't gonna lose their child, so they gonna go ahead and snitch on the next one. Some of our people did things out of desperation, and because they're so afraid that this trauma has so intertwined into us that the Most High is going to have to clean us and get our hearts right and get our spirits right, because this world, not just the U.S., but this world has done a work on our people.
And this, I can even say, I'm an 80s baby, and my generation, if a dude got money, then automatically he's doing something right. Doesn't matter if he got his money by selling out his own people. Doesn't matter that, they got their money by basically being a tool of the Europeans. They just be like, oh, well, he got it. He got money. He making it. Why you being a hater? And I'm like, bro, look at what this cat is talking about. Look at what he's telling. He's telling you to do stuff that he don't want his own kids to do. T.I. out here taking his daughter to the gynecologist to make sure she's still a virgin. And he out here just doing whatever with other people's daughters. So it's like, you don't want your daughter subject to the same thing that you putting out there in the world, but you got no problem making money off of that. You got no problem making these lustful songs that people losing all kinds of virginity to, people going out in the streets doing what you rapping about, but you not doing that no more. So they think that because they got money, that just justifies all that. Because, he doing what he had to do to get out of the, I'm doing what I got to do to get out of the hustle. I'm doing what I got to do. And they got them twisted up that they'll just do whatever. So even if we shun them, they got the Europeans backing them. So it's definitely going to take the Most High, because you can just say, nah, I'm not going to deal with Candace Owens. Well, Candace Owens be out there playing golf with these big behind rich, white dudes. So you can take all you want from her, but she still got her money from Blaze TV. The Republicans, that's their mouthpiece. Whenever they want to say something to the black community, they just throw her face out there. Here, say this. And then, they got all the other ones for the, there's plenty of them that line up for the Democrats and just get up and just say whatever. So they got that, that money going behind them. And there's always going to be a Negro that'll take that check to sell out their own people.
Correct.
We get Stacey Dash back, though.
That's funny. But the interesting part is this.
She ain't been right since they all fall down.
Yes. Stacey Dash, bless her heart. You got to pray for her, because
bless her heart.
It ain't all there. I just watch her sometimes and just be like, that elevator don't go to that top right. It's just not. It's not
right since more money.
Man,
yep.
She ain't had a job since more money. I think she's been unemployed. But I mean,
you need to have a racial draft.
Right.
It's black.
Right. But you know what? You said something. I think Blacktastic said this to me yesterday. I think it was you, and you tell me right or wrong. He said we are one experience or one major incident away from us. I think it was you or somebody to make us come together. Was that you or was that somebody else? I don't know. I talked to so many folks this weekend.
They're never going to allow that, right? I think I mentioned this on one of the other shows, where if you come and hit black folks straight up in the face, right, they're going to hit you back. But when you step in, there's like 5 people behind you, and one of them slap you in the back of the head, and you turn around, which one of you did it? Because you don't want to hit the wrong person, you're not going to hit anybody. And that's how they do, is they keep hitting us from the group from behind while we're not looking. And so we're not going to do anything. That's our nature.
Man, but I believe not. When I say traumatic, I mean it's going to have to be like an incident where they all coming for us to make us come together. It's not a thing of them
straight up in the face. Yeah, if they ever do that, we will go buck wild.
We have. That's when you're going to see folks. I mean, you might see the UA community get some act right if they all come at us. Because the thing is,
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see that. You was going good, Sister E, until you. I'm sorry.
I agree.
I was trying to hold my
Turn
peace.
that organ off.
You about to bust out with the organ.
In Jesus' name, you need to forgive.
Kelly, like I was rolling with you for a second.
I was rolling with you until you got there.
Put that mic in your face. Do you forgive them? Do you forgive
I know they just shot like 19 of y'all, but in Jesus' name, forgive.
Forgive them. For they knew not what they do.
Turn the other cheek.
In the name of
The other
Caesar
one.
Borgia.
You was going good, Sister E, till you got to that point. I was like, yeah.
everybody going coming at me in the chat.
You know, like that Price is Right music, like when you get it wrong, you know, diddle. You know, that's how I kind of felt when you got there.
And Pastor Kelly, we had to do it like they used to do in old school testimony service. They testified wrong or too long, you start singing over them. You start,
Pastor start getting it, saying amen real loud. Hallelujah.
You just start saying, that's right.
Get right.
Get your Martin Luther King.
And then they're gonna say, everybody, let's hold arms. Let's hold arms. We shall overcome.
Link arms.
Get your Martin Luther King fan, you know, be hey, yes.
I know everybody's
amen.
upset. We're gonna march down the street and you're gonna do it for justice. I know they just killed 30 of y'all and dropped a bomb on Harlem, but we're gonna walk down the street.
Yep.
I don't know what you
about
come to do,
about
but
kill either.
I come to praise his name.
Y'all don't do me like that. The chat coming.
Slap some hands. Help me to slap some
I
hands.
know there's a God somewhere.
No, they gonna get their tokens. We're gonna come talking about something. Oh, we gotta get the Shekinah glory in here, y'all. We need God.
Oh no, not Shekinah.
Like, it's not about racism. We got to learn how to love. Like,
You gotta learn to love.
our family. What are you talking about?
We're gonna throw you over to the Lions stand. We're gonna throw you over to Maria's channel.
Karis must be sleeping because he ain't jump in. I tell you, he got to be asleep.
No, I'm here. I'm just waiting to see how Gilligan made it off the island.
I want my Marine Corps brother on in there. Come on there, Devil Dog. Come on.
You know they're gonna pull Al Sharpton out of the woodwork, right? They're gonna pull Al Sharpton out there.
Talking about skinny Al Sharpton. This is when he became skinny Al Sharpton. We was like, what is your purpose? What purpose do you serve?
Here, have some cobbler.
Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. They ain't gonna take my
real quick. When I'm looking at Karis's avatar, I have a hard time not laughing. I remember that episode of Boondocks.
Same.
There's a song on there where they be singing at the end of that episode called "Come Get Us Catcher." So
I have not seen that.
I'm gonna marry Melinda. We're gonna live in Massa House.
His eyes were bucking so hard too. You're the right, Master, but you take a look. Oh, this is gonna be very good.
Y'all, you know what? Y'all just left a sister hanging. When I said that, all y'all got real quiet.
I'm looking at Sister E. That was my eyes bucking right there. What you talking about?
She got a little crump in her mouth.
It's like one of those memes where you turn from one person to another. You went from Malcolm X and the
It's just when you did that, when you said that, Black Tastic glasses went like this.
What you mean?
I need you to go find a phone. I need you to go find a phone and throw it against the wall.
He was bouncing at the tip of his nose like this. He was like.
Hey, Kelly cued the musicians. Your co was over there whispering, "Sing her down with selection number 3."
We're going to have a selection by the choir.
I was just waiting for Karis to say. I was just waiting for that Ruckus voice. Yeah.
All right. They give a shout out to the party. She wants to make sure, that we get our UA brothers and sisters in that white Jesus. I told y'all, coming back to white Jesus.
Oh, that's it.
Man, Sissy, you was going good too. It's like everybody got quiet. Everybody, when you said that part, everybody was like, "Who's going to say something?"
You know.
And you were rolling too. You were serious too.
You were good. I was impressed. I was like, "Wow, that's good." And then you said that. It was like, "Oh wow!"
You went from "Go Girl" to "Who Mans Is This?" like real quick.
Everybody was gonna unhide themselves. Like, wait a minute. I gotta look at
I'm telling you, J.O. and Kobe almost showed their face.
Everybody was about to remove themselves from the
Y'all
panel.
know it's serious now.
It was gonna be like, what?
Do you see all the private chats on out there?
So he gonna be like, "Where did everybody go?"
I'm be sitting there by myself.
I thought Pastor Kelly was like, "I'm out."
Yeah, and all of a sudden you just start seeing everybody just drop off.
Okay. Start singing "God Be With You."
I had to go back to my avatar.
Look at Big Red.
Said he had to show his face.
Big Red. He red too.
Y'all gotta understand that Avatar don't fight. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna say that again.
No, we're not sleepy. He said, no, we're not sleepy. Like I said, we're dealing with some serious stuff, but we need to laugh. We got to have a laugh.
Very serious.
Oh my goodness.
We're very serious people.
You know what
Serious
made
fun.
Y'all got Tony Spain out.
She had said earlier about being on
Oh
code,
man.
and she fell right into the trap. She said, "They gotta be on code."
I'm telling you,
Off code.
y'all stiff necked people let me stand there by myself.
We need chiropractors. That's
We went
probably what the
donkey on you.
say. People that need a chiropractic
Man, they
care.
calling you Ben Crump. They said,
We went donkey on you, Sister E. We was like,
That
we
what?
went straight donkey on you. We went donkey on you. It was like Shrek. You caught me with my mouth open.
Like, Papa, who this woman?
Sister E nudging that MAGA hat off her desk now, like, yeah. Oh, y'all not trying to be great? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I'm not bothered by y'all uncircumcised
You should have got biblical on us now.
I know, right?
She's gonna start speaking in King James.
That's when they have Bible study. That's when they have Bible study.
What art is thou doing? This.
That's it.
Leave it me alone. This.
Maybe she didn't mean what we said. Somebody get the Strongs and look up the Strongs number for.
What is it in the Greek?
Maybe the Strongs number for UA meant us.
Yeah, y'all don't understand. She meant United Africans.
Damn, see, there it is.
Yeah. We misinterpreted. It was a misinterpretation.
Hey, Sister E, there was even the chat stopped for a moment. The chat even stopped for a moment when you were saying that. I mean, everything just froze.
Somebody said, I
Pastor
can't
Kelly, they went in slow mo themselves. They put themselves in slow mo.
I had to check my internet connection. I was like, did my stuff lock up on me? And chat stopped and everything.
They tried to get that super chat back.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, who mans is this?
No, that's me ringing. I ain't gonna bring them up no more.
Well, I bet your dog. I bet Bailey even pulled a Scooby Doo and.
No, Bailey tiptoe. Y'all remember on Color Purple when the dog was trying to tiptoe out when Sophia was going out there? Bailey, like, wait, hold on.
Oh my goodness! Oh man!
They gonna turn.
Would you say Raggy?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna put myself in timeout in my own channel.
It's your house.
Sister E, we love you.
Y'all have been delayed.
Ruhama was about to block you. She's about to put you. She's about to put that wrench on you.
She was trying to block you in your own channel.
Ruhama had that wrench ready, man.
With the quickness.
I'm like, I'm on time out in my own channel.
She's like, I can fix it. I got that wrench. I can fix it.
We had to bring it back though. Yeah, that's true. We're gonna have to, it's gonna take a lot. 'Cause I thought about that too. Like, it's gonna take something utterly catastrophic for us to really come back together. If not, we're gonna be like, what's happening to them over there? But I'm good. I'm good. Ain't nothing gonna happen. It ain't gonna be until they have, people on the lawn with shotguns saying, "Get out this house, or y'all, or that's it." That is, I hate to say it, but that's a level it's gonna take for that to happen. If not, we comfortable. I'm good. Say I got peanut butter and jelly. I'm straight.
This is just going to take Christ doing. I'm going to tell you. I just have to see him come back, because some people, just like Christ even made it clear, he prayed for those that belong to him. Yep. He made it clear. He didn't pray for everyone. He prayed for those that belong to him. And I'm just not at that place, to contradict what the scripture says. Can they be saved? Maybe. But I'm not, my hands is off that. That's something that the Most High will have to truly do. Like Black Tastic said earlier, some people you just have to take your hands off and just leave it in the Most High's hand. Yes. But for me, I'm not doing it, because we've already, you have people that you just have to keep your distance from. That nothing good is going to come out of it if you continue to mingle with them. So I'm just gonna keep my distance, and let whatever happen. If they make it to heaven, if they make it to this good side of the judgment, then hey, we'll love up on them then. Amen. But until then, I'm going to stay where I'm at.
I'm not going to bring up you on the other side.
Exactly.
Hey,
you can make it.
Yeah. Y'all said if your darkness is light, how great is your darkness? You know what I'm saying? They by professing themselves to be wise, they're fools. You know what I mean? The very Bible that they claim is their truth is the thing that they use to keep themselves in the dark. And when they wake up, it's gonna be too late.
That's it. That's
right.
That's why y'all said dust the feet off your shoes and keep it moving. Just tell them what it is, and if they don't take it, then you just gotta dust it off and keep it moving.
I understand. When I look at things the way they are now, I understand certain things that I read in scripture now. Like, I've talked about James and John, Boanerges, why they were called the sons of thunder. Before John became Mr. the Love Apostle, he was a different dude. They were called the sons of thunder because of their temperament. They asked Yeshua, "You want us to burn this whole town down?" They was ready to call fire down from heaven, like Elijah. And I say, I get it. The frustration, the being upset, the different things that were going on. Here they were in their own land, oppressed, and mistreated, and they're trying to give people, some of their own, some foreigners that have moved into the land, the gospel to improve their situation and change it, and the folks are rejecting them, and acting a certain kind of way. I get the frustration. I understand why Peter fought in the gardens cut off ears and stuff. And then because the apostles, those 12 represent all of us. So it would be hard to look at any biblical character that would be considered a hero of the faith and then criticize them and not realize you criticize them in some measure yourself, because that person represents one of us on some level. And it goes to show that the Most High deals with us according to who we are and where we are, but he helps us become better than we were when he found us, when he called us and brought us into his marvelous light. But he continues to take us, make us, and mold us. But some things, you are who you are.
Correct.
He doesn't necessarily stop you from being that. He just redirects that energy.
Right.
So instead of cutting off ears on the day of Pentecost, Peter is gaining listening ears to hear the gospel. But but if they had pressed him like they're pressing us, we don't know. He might have went back cutting off ears, But, he had a glimpse of the glory that kept him. And that's one of the reasons why I like what Pastor Kelly was saying earlier about Exodus chapters 14 and 15. The only thing that's going to keep us from losing it is we got to get a glimpse of the glory, and we got to capture that and hold on to it, just like Joseph held on to his dreams. But at the same time, we have to understand, just like in Esther, we have a right to defend ourselves and protect our people. All right. And if that time comes, then just like we trust in the Most High to save our souls to the uttermost, we have to trust him also to help us organize, strategize, and protect our people until that time.
Yep.
I'm watching it and waiting, but I like everybody else to say, man, ain't nobody gonna change these folks but the Most High. But these folks have proven that they're evil, and I'm not one who continues to believe that we're still under the curses. I just believe that we're dealing with people who act like folks who are cursed and need to be cursed out because they're evil.
Well, get my fan back out.
Man, you gotta be beat that again, Mr. Like that. Wait a minute.
Sometimes, man, they make you want to do that, man. Especially when you see a cat say some stuff like they used to hate our DNA. And now everybody trying to I've seen two cats now I've talked to. I've seen one dude during that live that Boom Church did, and there was another gentleman I was talking to at the car dealership that trying to explain who we are, talking about it, and dude was like, "Oh yeah, I got Ethiopian in me, so yeah, I'm supposed to be Hebrew too. I got this in me." So I'm like, seriously, dog? I'm like, y'all locked the man up. I forget that man's name. It was a court case because he had like 1/3 or some Negro in him, and he got married, and they like, "Oh, this goes against the black code. You can't marry that woman because you got Negro in him." He had like it was like way back in his blood, and they still counted it and took it away. So they went from that to now everybody want to be black now. Everybody trying to be black now. They pushing the relationships all on TV every time. You can't have two Negro couples together. It's always got to be one of them got to be European. It's like, come on, man. Y'all trying to include yourself now. Yeah, they know.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just sit there and watched it. It's like, wow, that's been just all over. I'm like, all of a sudden, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you didn't see that, and all of a sudden, it's like everybody's interracial, every single one. I'm like, wait, what happened? Y'all weren't doing this back in 2010, 2009. Now all of a sudden, everybody got a white wife or a white husband. I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Hey, remember that Cheerios commercial? There was a Cheerios commercial that they lost their mind about. Because it was a black woman and a black man and a white woman, and they lost their mind. They was white. They was like they almost was boycotting Cheerios. I think Cheerios had to take the thing off the air because people was complaining so much. Now look at what they're doing.
Well, Mr. Black Tastic said it. Made an excellent point earlier when he talked about the media. How we become dumbed down, we become comfortable. They're good with that. They'll give you little by little. Like remember at one time. It was unheard of seeing a single woman with the baby on television until what was that TV show? Murphy Brown. Yeah, that was like a groundbreaker, But now look at where we are now. At one time, you didn't see certain things happen on the television screen, but now they show everything in between.
Yes,
at one time you had twin beds in a married couple's bedroom. Yep. Now they have other people inside the bed with them and inside the bedroom. things have completely changed, and so this is what we just have to be mindful. And it goes back to what Isaiah tells us, that they're going to take what would take evil and count it as good, and take good and count it as evil. And we just see it playing out right now, little by little. So this is what we have to just really have the Holy Spirit like never before.
So what do y'all think the agenda is for trying to mix black and white now? What's the agenda?
Preservation. Because they're not making babies no more. They figure they can't out breed us. So now they're going to try to use our breeding to their benefit.
But what about the Mexicans and all them? They could have been doing that. But all of these are black and white, black and white, black and white.
They're trying to give a message of, like, say, hey, again, it's a kumbaya move. Basically, is what it is. It's a cool say, hey, look, everybody say, we're interracial, we're all mixed, we're all one family. That's the idea. Say we're all one family, even though one side of that family likes to kill the other side of that family.
See, I think what it is to weaken our unity, right? Because if we're a bunch of mixed people, we're not going to unite with the black side. They're not going to say I'm black. They're going to say I'm mixed, right?
Yes.
And so when black men get killed, we're not going to unite.
Yep.
Right. Unity is irrelevant now because we're all one. We all love each other. We can ignore the past. We don't owe the Negroes nothing because we're all one.
Yep. But you know what I noticed, the good part of this, where it's turned, and y'all, it's gonna be a good one. I ain't finna let everybody get quiet. You remember back in the day, 20 years ago, people would be looking in their DNA to find out if they had Indian or Caucasian. Now everybody get mad and be like, I'm 89, I'm 90% African. And if you add that little 10%, folks ready to fight and be like, no, that ain't it. But I see that change, that now we've come to peace. And I will say this, thanks to Israel, and I'm gonna say it, people now have embraced their half African heritage a little bit more when it comes to their DNA.
Well, you got pastors now wearing dashikis and skinny jeans.
Yeah, that's for the ones who don't think we from the Americas.
Yeah. Plus, it also serves as the other plan because they know that the white numbers of reproduction are abysmal. They're pretty much regressing right now. They kill themselves more than they have babies. And China knows this because China just lifted its one-child policy. So basically, China's saying going out there and make babies.
But listen, if Sister E could play that video I sent her about the cops saying that, hey, we're pretty much done. We can mix with the Chinese and whoever else because the white race is done. Right.
I'm gonna pull it. Was that Yacoba or was that Tayu?
Yacoba.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little confused. Saints.
I sent you the link in the private chat.
I'm looking at that now. I'm pulling it up now.
She said, "Y'all look her like."
It said about 64 counties in North Carolina have reported more deaths than births. 64 counties.
Wow.
And that was reported, I believe, either on Thursday or Friday. But we already knew that their numbers had been declining. It's just that they don't want to have it published. It's an open secret. It's the same as Sweden. It's the same as Norway, Denmark, and here's really the tale of the story here. You have more of the acceptance in Europe when it comes to the interracial marriage and dating and things of that nature, because they know that they have to actually build up their population numbers. So that's not a surprise, or that's not a secret. They know that, but they think that in the long term that blankification will be able to serve them like it served, the centuries before.
Right.
But that genetic structure isn't there anymore, and they know that. So now it's going to be, what type of Europe is it going to look like, and really it's going to probably look like that same Europe that you had with, Kittim and Edom, back in that time frame. So everything else is going to look very, very different. And even think about this, even the Asian population, China is even going through a population downsize, and that was because of policy. So all this stuff is real. It's on out there, and it's been declining even to this time frame. I don't think that they have the numbers to sustain themselves after this generation. That's my personal belief. This is why they're kind of in panic mode.
So
Yeah. And then you got to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
They don't encourage, they've also through their feminism policies. It's so interesting because they really planted that to break up our homes even the more, but it's backfiring on them because now you got these young women that don't want to have kids no more. Like they feel like having kids and raising a family is slavery. They don't want to do that. So you got a lot of these young white women that's just out here chasing money in the streets and not even trying to be wives no more. So they're looking bad all the way around.
Correct. Here's the video.
Brew Queen asked a question: why are we still 13% of the population? I just answer that real quick before we watch the video because I'm very interested in this. I didn't know anything about this, Jacoba, so I definitely want to hear this. But the reason we're still 13%, for those who may be wondering, the same way we were 13% 100 years ago and even before that, is because we're the only group of people whose numbers are managed. So 13%, we can probably safely say by now is like the cutoff of the percentage of the population that they will allow our numbers to grow to. And this is why we've been surpassed by what they're calling, really, see, if you took the Hispanic or what they call the Hispanic or Latino population and you actually divided them up properly, well, probably more than half of them would be back on the black side. So most of them, more than half of them probably are black.
Yep.
The only difference is their ancestors got dropped off by a Spanish slave ship, and ours got dropped off by the British, the French, or the Portuguese.
Right.
That's the only difference. They speak Spanish, but some of them as dark as coal, and as night. And they claim to be. They're given the opportunity by the United States government to minimize our numbers, to minimize our voice and cater to another class. Joe Biden has already said since he's been running last year that black leaders need to hook up with the Hispanics because he don't want to give us reparations.
Nope.
All right. And so he wants to attach everybody else to it to dilute what our ancestors worked for that we rightfully deserve. Yep. So our numbers are the only ones of all the population groups that is controlled to keep us at a set percentage or amount of the population.
Yep. And AOC also.
Oh, go ahead.
AOC also said the same thing about reparations. She didn't want it unless it was Spanish people that was included in it, and she claims to be black whenever it suits her politics.
Well, to Black Tastics, piggyback off of what Black Tastics pointed out, if we actually did the proper numbers, it is impossible for the numbers of our community to be surpassed by any other group if you did the proper numbers. Many of the numbers are inflated because of immigration, when you really understand the fullness of it. If we look at, for example, Spanish 200 years ago, how was it defined? So if we really get to the root of it, at the turn of the 19th century, going into the 20th century, or actually the 20th century is where you began to see the numbers shift to how they were calculating and determining who's who. So again, if you did the proper statistics, it is impossible for a group that was not even a fraction of what we were coming into this country to surpass us unless you do what? Start allowing those to come across that border to help inflate those numbers. So and then just even think about the psychology in that too, of us embracing the term minority. Now we are supposedly the minority of the minority. So it's just so many moving parts to it. So, but the answer, even going back to Jacoba's question, Jacoba, hit me up offline because if I share it publicly, my answer, I think this channel will be shut down because mine is still in the pen right now. So reach out to me offline. I got some information I can literally share and show you the actual agenda that's been there for for the past couple of centuries that are pushing this narrative of making it to basically ultimately two races within a particular group. Either you're going to be the white race or you're going to be the black race, and it's going to be within a certain group, and that's been the target for the past century and a half, and we see that moving forward with this agenda. But I can share with you more offline because I don't want to say anything on Sister E's channel, and before you know it, her channel is in the pen like mine.
And they would love it. Oh, the Saints would love it. My channel gets shut down.
And just to throw this out real quick, I have been classified and reclassified by the government as Mexican for like the last 30 years. I'm serious. The entire time I was in the Marine Corps, they had me listed as Mexican.
Oh my goodness. I gotta find this.
And I'm like, I ain't Mexican. I changed it. A few years later, census, they had me as Mexican.
You can't be blacktastic anymore, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. I guess I'm Cortana-tastic or something, because they will not allow me to stay black.
Y'all ever saw that video with the black Egyptian? He came to America.
Yes.
They forced him to classify himself as Caucasian. He's like, I'm black.
Yeah, they play
it's crazy, but these are the kind of things too. Just talk about the inflation of the numbers that Pastor Kelly said. It's little things like this, because you got to think too. Why would they do this around the time with the census? Because it determines who or what communities get what monies and other things of this sort. There's always something behind it. You know, I'm like, I should not have to change, and hopefully I don't have to do it anymore. But I shouldn't have to keep telling the government that, you know, my birth certificate clearly says what I am. You can look at my parents and tell what they are. You know, how did these, you know, I just, you know, I mean, come on. We know that peanut butter and chocolate go together, but two chocolate folks didn't produce the peanut butter baby. I'm not Mexican.
I know Mexican. I know Dominican. I did take that comedian. He said, the Dominican said, I know black. You call a Dominican black, they be ready.
Ready to fight.
And I ain't got nothing against the Mexican people, but you know, they're proud of who they are. They wouldn't want to be called black. So I want to be identified as who I am with my people.
But watch this. When those reparations come, the Dominican is gonna be I'm black.
Oh
yeah. You might have
Sammy Sosa
Caucasians
gonna unwipe himself.
Black. You gonna have Caucasians saying that they're black too.
That's true. They're gonna be, look, I got 10% in my blood.
So
that's right.
Dozell.
Fantastic. If they deport you,
y'all find a way to get me back in.
Blacktastic.
Hey, just hit the border. Just hit the border.
Hey, Mia. Mijo.
Just hit the border. Biden will let you in. He's like, oh, a voter.
That part.
That is too funny. I forgot I was gonna say. I was gonna say something.
He'll come back.
The video.
It was something else, but I'm finna play the video. Hold on.
Well, if it's true, the population of America is we're in the minority, and I could at this point.
Can y'all hear?
No, I can't hear it. I see.
I can't really make out what he's saying.
I can't.
You have to play it twice. I mean, it's sort of hard to hear, but
yeah,
you know, it's better to read.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot. I didn't see the reading. Sorry.
Rewind.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Well, if it's true, the population of America is we're in the minority, and I could at this point.
So pretty much if y'all read it, I read it too as fast as I could. He said their days are numbered. Like their
Yeah.
numbers are depleting.
And I told my son, if you get yourself a Chinese girl, you could get your foot in the door.
Mm.
All right, Pastor Kelly, you get ready to jump off. And Rupama is gone also. Y'all will be all night. So I'm gonna go ahead and close up. I mean, but the thing is, I'm gonna let y'all finish these last few points because I'm hitting on what? It's 11:30. Ultimately, I've come to the conclusion as a people, y'all's gonna have to bring us together. And we getting ready to see. And the reason I wanted to talk about the horror movies are they playing to us what else is something more horrific is coming our way? And I really believe that something has to cause Yah's hand to move. That's been my question. What is going to make his hand move? What is going, and people say sin. I said, sin has been here since the beginning of time. Something's happening and something's going to happen to make him just say game over.
It's like they say in 2 Esdras 15, right? That they slaughter us. And he says, I can't suffer my people to live in Egypt anymore. And that seems to be what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Wow. Well.
But there's hope.
You see it going on right now. I mean, it's like every other day it's something crazy happening. I mean, they just had that military dude shoved that young black boy for just walking in his own neighborhood. They got shootings all over the place. They just shot a kid up in Chicago, as a matter of fact, that threw his gun down or whatever. So it's happening, and it's stepped up in the overdrive. And it's like they see it coming, and it's just their frustration. This is what we're seeing. We're just seeing their frustration because their country's failing. That's all it is to it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of get a little petty with some of the folks I see on Twitter, and I just comment, "That's why your country is failing." Like that, they see it, they know it, they know the writing is on the wall, and it's their frustration that's bubbling over at us.
Correct.
Yeah, they blame everybody but themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
BLM is like public enemy number one to them. They think, oh, it's Black Lives Matter. Like, no, when you really look at those BLM marches, yeah, you got some Hebrews is in there running around because they don't know no better, but most of those things is led by other Europeans.
Yep.
It's all Europeans.
They destroy the neighborhoods and then turn around and gentrify them and kick the black folks out.
Yeah, and all the people destroying stuff during the protests are white, but they blame black folks.
Exactly.
I believe that they're liberals.
Yep. When it happened last year, there was a video on camera of a guy with an umbrella, and he was dressed in all black. He looked military almost, and he just was like knocking out windows, and he was breaking the windows of the store and stuff. And one of the black dudes called him out. He was like, "Hey man, what you doing? What you doing? Why you doing all that? We not here for that. We not here for that." He was the one that tried to fight him. He was smoking, and he said, "Hey man, hold my blunt." He said, "Come on, man, we finna fight." Like, because he was not trying to have this dude out here breaking windows and stuff.
And they caught some white and Asian people doing it too.
Yep, and they have a video. It was a video of a sister who went off on some. It was some white people driving through, giving bricks to black people.
Yeah.
And she called them, said, obviously all the expletives and everything. What you doing? Say, yeah, y'all gonna drive off, but our people gonna get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And they was just doing all that. So that's why when people are saying, "Oh, all the damage that black level," I say, no, these are your folks doing this. It's not us.
It's planned.
I
think last year they were finding bricks and stuff just randomly placed in the city. Like,
yes, sir.
They had pallets and stuff just laid out. There was a video that the conservatives call it out because it serves their purpose, pointing at Antifa. That there was these dudes that was getting the young black kids together and telling them what to do, and they was giving them stuff and giving them instructions on where to go and who to talk to and what to do. So it's they definitely the puppet master behind the strings.
Do y'all remember the black guy? I think what was the major protest? Was that Philly? Where they had that major protest and they shut the city down and that whole city was shut down for like months. And they had this black guy there, and basically the government gave him M16s, and he took M16 and he was giving them to people. It was a black guy.
That was over in Seattle, where they had that pad zone. Yeah,
Seattle.
There was that one boy that had the Tesla, the black dude. He had the guns in the back of his car. He was just passing out the guns to everybody.
Did not hear about that.
Yeah, they was calling him the leader, but he wasn't the leader for nothing.
Exactly.
He was like, I'm just here. He just showed up, but everybody was calling him the ringleader, but he wasn't leading nothing.
Yep. Like, where a black guy get a bunch of M16?
Right, and he was driving a Tesla. That's
Right.
how they got me. He was in his 20s with a Tesla with all these weapons. Someone, he's a rapper. I'm like, hold on, bro. Where you get that from? That's not regular for a young black dude to be running around with a Tesla. Come on, dog. Where you get that from? It's like what Black Tessa said. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. Like your boy that shot Nipsey Hussle that gets the $1 million lawyer. Where you get the money for that $1 million lawyer?
Interesting.
I didn't know he had $1 million lawyer.
Oh yeah, the dude that shot him, the lawyer that represented him, he's a big time lawyer. He's big time. And the media didn't really cover that story. They kind of covered it in the beginning and then shushed it.
Yeah, Christopher Dard, one of the lawyers who prosecuted O.J. Simpson.
Right.
Really?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, he big money. He big money boy.
So they must have took out Nipsey because he was trying to improve his community, I guess.
Because Nipsey said we don't want any more LeBron James. We need Elon Musk in the hood, and he was going to start pushing for STEM programs in the hood, and that's where everything going is programming and engineering. Because there's you're not going to have jobs even working at Amazon in the fulfillment centers. They're going to replace them with robots. At CES of this year, every single company that brought forward their stuff had robots to do regular stuff that you do in warehousing and whatnot. They're getting ready for it. Kroger just opened a warehouse that's fully automated.
That's why the entertainers don't help us, the black entertainers, because they know if they do, they're going to be taken out like him and like Magafuli and anybody, right? They're scared.
Yeah, facts.
It's true. As soon as you start talking and making sense, they take you out. Like, look at Martin Luther King. While he was doing their little puppet string stuff, he was cool with them. As soon as he started talking about that R word, reparations, started talking about all them farmers getting that money. Oh no!
But see, we got to move as a group. That's the thing. A group with no leaders.
Yeah, we can't have no one person. It's got to be everybody. But people get comfortable. They'll give them a little. We'll let a few of y'all come through and give y'all some money and stuff, and then they sit in front of the camera like, "What? You got Morgan Freeman? Oh, you can trust me. Go ahead and get the jab. You can trust me."
Exactly.
Yep, and all the commercials now with for the lollipop, black people.
All of them.
Yep.
All of
See,
them.
that's the other thing. We need to cancel them, and we need to cancel all these pastors who going along with that stuff.
That's insane. I never seen no pastors say that. Like that's crazy. I haven't seen any of them talk about getting it, but I believe it. I believe it because they connected into it too.
Oh yeah. Why you think Fred Price not here no more?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like people got at his son because he kind of democratically said that we the people. Yep. But I understood why he had to do it that way because they would have took him out, man.
Yeah.
They don't play with that. They ain't playing.
Exactly.
They look at what happened to Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon, which I still don't trust him right now, but they took away his TV show. He like, okay, well, I retract it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
As we said, there's no getting us out of this but the Most High.
Yeah.
Correct. He's the only one that can get us out of this. So
absolutely. So nobody else can get credit.
Yep. All right, family. I'm gonna need everybody to give their closing remarks. This was good. I want to do another conversation like this because I know Wednesday I'm gonna do something, and I'll include the Patreons as well.
Okay.
Whatever the outcome of the verdict is, and we'll just have a conversation about it. So,
yeah,
that man gonna walk. Just be ready, y'all, because that man gonna walk. And if you're anywhere near that city, be just get you some water, get you some extra food and stuff, because they finna act a fool.
I think it's gonna be all over the U.S. It ain't gonna even just be there.
Yeah, because the media have been setting it up, and that's what they want. And they've been trying to gas up the prosecution like they've been doing right. But I've been looking at all the story, the actual facts themselves, and the facts just going to keep that man out. Just the simple fact that the move that he did is in their training manual. That's it.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's disgusting, but that's their law, and he did it according to their law, and people don't understand that.
Well, I say this: everybody get, like you said, Big Red. Everybody get their stuff prepared. because these people gonna act. I'm talking about it's gonna be interesting. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just and they already dealing with the other stuff. I'm just like, this is a recipe for something, a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So on their side, not us.
Yep.
Stay out of it. I will say that much. Stay out of it.
Oh yeah.
See,
Mm-hmm.
all of us gonna be looking like Blacktastic Avatar when they come out with that with that conviction
Murder.
or that, yeah, that murder thing. We're gonna be like,
That's how all of us gonna be looking.
yeah. Look, everybody got to change their avatar to that one.
Yeah,
I
I made a
already
copy of
knew he
that.
was gonna walk, man. I already, it's just this is what they do. They've been doing it since Zimmerman. That's when I first started paying attention to the way they do these cases. They just put him up on a trial just to say, well, see, we put him on trial, and by the law, he got free.
Yep.
But
So
it's all a shame.
yep, we'll see tomorrow because they start the closing statements on tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching it and working and trying I've been trying to stay away from it, but yeah, these closing statements are gonna be what's it. I mean, the dude didn't even speak for himself. He pleaded, what is it? The fifth?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what? You're not gonna speak up for yourself? I said, well, I don't know where it's gonna land, but either or it's gonna
He
be
got the best lawyer there is, white skin.
Sure do.
Bang.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
We can't cross the street without getting 20 years.
Yep.
Man, there's a dude that had $20 worth of weed from the street. That man got 16 years for $20 worth of weed.
Wow. Wow.
Well, let's not talk about the black guy who was dancing with a white girl, and she accused him of rape, and he never did touch her, and he went to jail for like I forgot how many years. He's still there now. He ain't do nothing, had no evidence.
Wow.
You don't need evidence. Your skin is evidence enough.
That's it.
It's the same thing, man. From you read them 100 years of lynching, it's the same MO, the same exact MO. Look at they put Cosby in jail for what? Those accusations were as old as me, 30 some odd years old, and he in
But
jail.
they say we playing the race card.
Right.
Yep. It's not about race. It's justice. Whose justice? Whose system? It's easy to say that when the system is slanted towards you.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
All right, family. Well, y'all give y'all closing statements, starting with Aerospike.
Well, like I said, just got to keep our eyes open. Our eyes on Yeshua, and just realizing, again, that there is hope. No matter what happens in that courtroom, we know that Abba has the victory, and therefore we have the victory. That's all I got to say.
All right. All right, Kiris.
Yeah, so shalom, family. It was a great time of fellowship. Even though there are some questionable remarks, Sister E done started even at the before we came on with American Skin.
Thank you, Hebrew Awakening, for your super chat. I'm finna just give you that side eye.
But
all the rest of the people too as well. I'm giving you the side eye.
But just change your avatar to Blacktastic Avatar. He'll get the message.
Oh,
I'm no bother. Y'all finna give me a van and live the van life the way these folks acting. I need to be on the run constantly.
You better. You in Virginia.
Man, what? I'm sitting here like they gonna if it go down, it's gonna hit hard in DC. That's why I was like, I ain't going nowhere near that area. Period. Man. So who's next? Everybody got quiet.
Red.
Yeah, man. I came in late, but I've been I just wanted to, say to the people and stuff, man, y'all definitely just keep looking to y'all, keep praying. Don't focus on the media, man. The media will lie. The media is going to tell you all this crazy stuff. Don't look at them. Don't look, especially the American media. It's just full of lies. Don't believe nothing that you see. Don't believe nothing that they tell you, because these are the same people that lied to you and told you was nothing but a slave and you was running around with skirts in Africa. So don't believe these people, man. That's all they do is lie. That's their best feature, is lying and conquering. And they don't understand those that the Lion of Judah conquers everybody and everything. And he coming, man. He's coming soon. Look at all the stuff that's happening. This war's just 2 days. I mean, it's like so close to going and popping off. And once these wars pop off, we already know where it's at. So just be encouraged. Reading the prophecies and stuff, because it's easy to get off with all the nonsense that they got going on right now. But y'all gonna have the last word.
Yeah, he is. Man, I'm gonna finish my Revelation series on Friday. I'm gonna start back on Friday so everybody kind of be ready. Who's next? Jacoba.
All I have to say, family, look at 2nd Ezra 15. Look like all of that coming to pass as well, like every other prophecy that we've been looking at, from Matthew 24, Luke 21. They all seem to be there. So look up, lift up your head. Your redemption draw at nigh.
All right, and Blacktastic. We can't hear you. You're on mute. I mean, you saying a full montage, and you just can't hear that.
You just trying to get me back. Listen, I ain't got time for that. I own an air fryer now. You can't talk to me just in no kind of way.
You know what? Y'all pray for him. He just bought a new air fryer. He sent me a picture.
I'm somebody. I own an air fryer.
Just tell her 5 hot wings.
There you go.
Y'all start that 5 hot wings. He gone. No.
370, 15 minutes.
But just to say this, out of Isaiah chapter 40, he says, comfort my people, says your God, and speak tenderly to Jerusalem, and cry to her that her warfare is accomplished, and that her iniquity is pardoned, for that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. So we are at a specific point in our time and in our history where the Most High is favoring his people, but we're going through another period of transition from one moment to the next, but he's with us in it, and we have to continue to preach and teach and speak faith over fear, no matter what's going on around us, because all the things that we see happening were already prophesied and were told to us beforehand. But we were also given the blueprint how to endure and go through these things, and we were also given a hope that doesn't fade away if we hold on by faith. And so I want to say to everyone that's gathered here, all of you, my family, you Yedid, the beloved, is to continue to hold on to his eternal word, because that's the one thing that we can count on that never changes. People's change, days change, everything else changes, but the word of the Most High. And so that's what we need to look to more than anything this last day.
All right, family. I want to thank everybody for their support. Every super chat that was given, and the ones I've not said thank you to, I'm charging to my head, not to my heart. But I thank everybody for their support coming out. The ones that just came to support, thank you so much. We will reconvene on Wednesday, because I do want to do like a broadcast Wednesday night after they get done with the verdict to kind of get everybody's views. And then I'll do something on Friday as well, as far as the revelation. So everybody, again, I want to say thank you again for your support, and may y'all bless you.